Hokage, I can only use Xianju. Chapter 101-120. Chapter 101 Deal Breaks. In order to collect the 10 tails, Obito did not hesitate to kill his teacher and exterminate his own clan. Naturally, such a person would not easily hand over the 2 tails, which is also expected. Feng Yao snorted coldly in his heart. It's too arrogant to try to fool me after using the trick once. However, there was no flaw on his face, and he still thought it was difficult, and said dryly, "This is not right. How do I know what spell mark you used, and how to ensure the safety of the Teak people?" Obito laughed twice, convinced that he had deceived Feng Yao, and it didn't matter what kind of spell he planted, he wanted Feng Yao to believe that this was the real Teak man. Unfortunately, what he didn't know was that Heiju had seen Feng Yao privately, and the technique of disguise had given Feng Yao a precaution. Obito smiled and responded, "It's not a powerful spell, you can take a look. If you think it's feasible, we'll start." After he finished speaking, he threw a scroll over, which recorded a kind of heart-breaking spell, and wrote all the contents and solutions. As long as the heartbeat of the caster is too fast, the spell will explode in the body, and the caster cannot actively control the spell to detonate in advance. Feng Yao frowned, pondered for a moment, and then said with a serious face, "Then trust you once, you send the people over, and I will send the golem over." The 2 parties finally reached an agreement. Obito cast a spell, and then put the Teak man around his waist and walked towards Feng Yao. Feng Yao turned on Susanoo, and the blue chakra immediately turned into a huge and burly god of war to protect him, and then Feng Yao manipulated Susan to hug the golem and walked over slowly. The 2 came to the middle, Feng Yao put down the golem, and Obito also put the Teak man at Susa's feet. The 2 of them knew nothing, and each grabbed the golem and the person they wanted. Obito had already touched the golem, and he was overjoyed. This is done. But Feng Yao's outstretched hand suddenly seemed to have changed his mind, and the sword of Susanoo appeared in Susan's hand. Teak man, and Obito in half. Obito's eyes haven't moved away from the golem. The Teak man has been separated by the head, and Obito finally knows that Feng Yao is acting with him from beginning to end. So at the moment when the sword touched, the right eye turned to turn on the blur, and part of the body was placed in the Shinwei space. It's too late, it's too soon. Feng Yao's left eye flickered slightly, and the vortex of divine power appeared in front of Obito, but Obito didn't see anything being teleported in. In order to prevent Feng Yao from using Shinwei space to seriously injure himself, Obito also arranged for Scorpion and others to guard their bodies in Shinwei space first. At this time, the sword was cut in half, and Obito thought that Feng Yao was just bluffing, but the next moment he vomited blood and flew out. There was a deep dent on his chest that was obviously attacked by a fist. This blow made him seriously injured. He didn't understand why Feng Yao obviously didn't send anyone in, but he still hurt himself. In his invisible wheel tomb, the number of shadows became 5. What was just sent in was the shadow of the wheel tomb, so the people inside didn't notice it at all. Feng Yao said directly, "Your divine power space has been cracked by me. It is useless for me to use the agreed moves twice. The same is true for this Baiju." Teak man, next to him, has also turned into the appearance of Baiju, and Do and the others are amazed. They were completely stunned for a while when they saw Feng Yao's sudden action, and then they were ashamed. As their subordinates, they did not see through the enemy's conspiracy at all. Obito stood up with the help of the ghost shark. He is also a man with pillar cells. It is not so easy to kill him with a single blow, but it is true that the blow of the tomb of the wheel is still very painful, and he does not dare to use the blur easily. But Feng Yao didn't intend to give them a chance to rest. The next moment, an invisible force pinned the ghost and Obito, and the shadow of the tomb hugged them both. Feng Yao shouted, "Take advantage of it now." Afterwards, Susanoo clasped his hands together and formed a circle made up of shackles and hooks in his hands. This was the most powerful long-distance ninjutsu that Feng Yao could use in his current state of Susan. 8-foot Changgu Jade. Suzuo threw the Guyu out, and the sound of sonic booms could not be heard. Orochimaru and the others did not hesitate to attack Obito and Ghost Shark. Water Escape, Water and Iron Cannon Art. Bone Vein, 10-Finger Piercing. Shimmering Snake Hand. The sky-filled ninjutsu blanketed the opponent, and Obito roared, "Everything is done. Don't hide." The tree on the side suddenly turned into a piece of origami, and a slightly fat man emerged from it. His left eye was a writing wheel eye, and his right eye was a reincarnation eye. He is the new hungry ghost Dao. He placed his body sideways in front of Obito, and a white dome suddenly appeared on his body. All of Yasaka's Guyu and water iron cannon were absorbed. The 10-finger piercing bullet and the hidden shadow snake hand are not completely composed of chakra, and they successfully added a few blood holes to Obito and the ghost, and the hungry ghost is also entangled by snakes. The other Ludao, Itachi, Xiaonan, and the undead duo appeared together. Obito also felt out of control, released Deidara from the Shinwei space, and then cautiously said, "It seems that something is invisible. Itachi, can you see it? Are you there?" Itachi unfolded the kaleidoscope, and then shook his head. His writing wheel eyes didn't see anything unusual. The 6 Taoists on the side suddenly said, "We can see it very clearly here. There are 6 Fengyao in total. There is nowhere to find the traces of the Tomb of the Wheel, and the only way to fight against it is to have the Eye of Reincarnation or master the 6 paths of immortal art." Hearing this news, Obito frowned. 1 Fengyao is so difficult to deal with, let alone the other 5 invisible. Fengyao waved his hand lightly, and the rest of the Xian organization also appeared together, except for Terumi Mei and Zaibushin. Hideyoshi was surrounded by chakra. His breath was the most intense, and he couldn't hide his anger when he saw the immortal duo. "You bastards, what did you do to the wooden man? You promised to replace the man, but you lied to us with a fake one, shameless." Quote. Just when Fengyao beheaded the fake teak man, Hideyoshi almost rushed out to question Fengyao, but was stopped by everyone, and only after seeing the next scene did he realize that he was still too naive. Obito didn't care about Hideyoshi's questioning, but turned his eyes to Gaara. "HMPH, you can't miss a single person, not only teak people, but you are also my Akatsu hunting target." This time, the Shao organization can be said to have come out in full force, which shows the importance attached to the immortal. Ju also emerged from the ground and said in a hoarse voice, "Break the seal of the outsider golem first. This time you can take the outsider golem away, even if it is a success, don't fight." Deidara stood up, and there were still a lot of bandages on his right body at the moment, which was injured by the steam of the 2nd generation of water shadows, and it was extremely difficult to recover. He stared at Do with his eyes fixed, and said frantically, "I failed to kill you last time, and today I will definitely let you die in my art." As he spoke, he made a huge bird out of clay, carried himself, and launched clay bombs into the air. C1 Clay Spider. Countless little spiders scattered from the sky like raindrops, and Do turned his head directly to Hideyoshi and said, "You should already know the information. Your thunderbolt restrains him, and this person will be handed over to you." The lightning flashed on Hideyoshi's body, and he couldn't bear it any longer. Chapter 102 _ Body Susanoo. The clay spider has fallen on the heads of Fengyao and others. Hideyoshi took out the ninja sword and attached the chakra of the thunder attribute. With a wave of Sakai's brush and ink next to him, a lifelike ink eagle appeared directly. Ninja Super Beast Pseudo Painting. Mojing hunched Hideyoshi on his back and rushed towards the spider in the sky, the sword light and thunder shadow flickering. 6th Slash of Thunder. Most of the spiders were cut in half by the thunder knife. At this moment, Deidara didn't dare to hesitate, otherwise he would be cut off. He made a mark on his hands and shouted loudly, "Drink!" Boom! The constant explosions were heard, and the smoke filled the air. When all the dust settled, Hideyoshi appeared on the ground unscathed, and Deidara was a little angry. "What a joke, my art was actually cracked by this guy, I'm not convinced." Thinking of this, Deidara wanted to do it again. But obviously he is not the only one here. Scorpion took out the puppet of the 3 generations of Kazekage and manipulated the chakra line, and the 3 generations of Kazekage rushed towards Hideyoshi. Gloomily, I don't like to wait for people, so let's solve them together quickly. The 3 generations of Kazekage have the special ability to control the magnetic force. The sand iron can change various forms to attack and defend at will. Once it invades the body of a human or a puppet, it can completely paralyze itself. Scorpion is different from Deidara. It is a unique trick when it comes up. Manipulating the 3 generations of Kazekage to condense 2 huge iron sand blocks with a magnetic escape, and collide the 2 high-density iron sand blocks with opposite magnetic fields to increase the magnetic force in one breath. Magnetic escape, sand and iron realm. Due to the increased repulsion of the magnetic field, the iron sand blocks spread to the surroundings, forming many conical iron sands that fill the sky. Hard to see what's coming. And all iron sand is poisonous, and even the slightest scratch can be a fatal blow. Feng Yao and others can be said to have no retreat. The attack range of this ninjutsu is indeed large enough. Just when Orochimaru was about to psychic out 10,000 snakes to resist, Feng Yao stretched out his hand to stop him. Then his hands were sealed, and a powerful blue chakra erupted from his body, wrapping all the members of the immortal organization. Must do what you can. Clang, clang. The sound of the interaction of gold and iron sounded, and all the sand and iron returned without success, just because the shooting of the sand and iron was so pale under the power of Feng Yao. A huge Susa wearing a blue coat penetrated the smoke and dust, standing between the sky and the earth, revealing scarlet eyes, his hands crossed, and a few tentacles flashing behind him. All the sand and iron shots didn't hurt Susaku Nang. Obito looked at the scene in disbelief. Itachi's tone was even more rare, revealing panic. No way, to have such a level of mustache, it is comparable to the power of a tailed beast. Everyone was shocked by the huge Susanoo, showing a sense of despair. Everyone in the Xian organization was covered in Susanoo, except for a small number of people. Other members also saw Feng Yao use the Suzuo for the first time, but they could feel that as long as Feng Yao wanted, they could manipulate the Suzuo. Opening up mountains and seas is not a problem. Flying in the sky, Deidara clenched his teeth and used explosive clay to make an adult figure, muttering while doing it, "My art is no worse than yours, let's compare it, my art is an explosion." Quote. C3 number 18 inches. After speaking, he threw the doll at the giant Susaku. With his hands sealed, he snorted lowly, "Drink." Boom. The sound of a huge explosion came, and the power generated this time was more than several times that of the previous one, but in front of Shuzunangu's body, it was as if a firefly and a bright moon were fighting for glory, and there was no response at all. Feng Yao took a deep breath and said with a sneer, "Is this the end? I haven't finished it yet. Let's show you the real complete body Susanoo." After finishing speaking, Feng Yao will continue to seal, and the huge Susanoo will change in the next time. His body is covered with blue armor, his back grows wings, and his face becomes the shape of a high-nosed tengu, revealing that each of his 4 arms is grasping a chakra sword. This is the ultimate form of Susanoo that can only be unlocked by those who use the kaleidoscope's pupil power to its fullest and possess a large number of chakras. It is a bit laborious for Feng Yao to open this state, but even if this level of power can only be used for 1 minute, it is enough to determine the outcome of the battle. At this moment, Deidara's figure was as small as a fly, and Susanoo swung his sword. The fear of death immediately fell on Deidara's head. He was too careless, and this distance could not be avoided. Deidara's first thought was to explode immediately. But even eating clay takes time, and he shouted at the last moment of his death, "I'm pissed off, bastard. At least let me finish my ultimate art." Boom. The huge slashing wave will destroy all the land within a few kilometers. Deidara on the front was chopped into powder directly. This man, who had an extraordinary dedication to his art, became the first member of the Shao organization to die today. Deidara. The entire Shao organization was swept up and down by the hurricane brought by the slashing. Feng Yao took advantage of the victory to pursue the attack. 4 chakra swords were swung continuously, and several slashing waves were swept out one after another. The huge roar made everyone temporarily deaf. Countless gravels and broken trees were flying in the air. Obito and the others could only use ninjutsu to save their lives. Shuzuo Nanghuyata Mirror. Paper Dance. Red Secret Skills 100 Machines Exercise. 2 Dun Earth Spear. As for Feijuan, he stayed in place, as if he had not seen enough. Boom, boom. The power of Feng Yao lasted for nearly 2 minutes. When the dust gradually dissipated, there were only a few deep trenches that were several kilometers long on the ground, and the surrounding trees had been destroyed by several swords. Feng Yao exhaled a few mouthfuls of turbid air and used the complete body Shuzuo Nengu. His chakra consumption was also quite large. The complete body Shuzuo Nengu degenerated into bones and finally disappeared. Orochimaru and others were also put down. As the smoke and dust dissipated almost, the vision gradually became clear. The first person everyone saw was the ghost shark. At this moment, the ribs on his chest had been shattered. He was recovering from the injury by relying on the powerful chakra. He was half-knelt on the ground panting heavily. Obviously, even his chakra was cured this time. Some are not enough. Shueyu's eyes lit up when she saw this scene. This was a good opportunity for him, so he rushed over unceremoniously, trying to grab the shark muscle. The big knife in his hand slashed directly at the ghost shark's head. The ghost shark, who had run out of oil, barely raised his hand and blocked Shueyu. The stalemate force caused the ground to sink directly into it. Obviously, the ghost shark was at a disadvantage at this moment. Although he raised his hand to block it, the power of the blade was unabated. It had already cut into the ghost shark's shoulder by half an inch. The ghost shark showed a painful expression. The shark muscle big knife that he was thinking about fell in front of his eyes. HMPH, Senior Ghost Shark, I'll just accept your ninja sword, I finally collected one. Shueyu seemed a little excited, and stretched out her hand to grab the shark muscle, but the shark muscle directly opened her mouth to his neck was bitten. Chapter 103_Lay Absolute Victory. Shueyu was shocked, and she could not retreat for a while, so she could only use the hydration technique, although the shark muscle did not bite his body, but in this short contact, Shueyu was sucked away a lot of chakra. King Queen can only retreat, with cold sweat on her face. A hand stretched out from the ground and grabbed the hilt of the shark muscle. A hoarse voice came from the ground. I said earlier that you are too arrogant, and your combat experience is still insufficient. The water body of the ghost shark was hit by Shueyu just now. Knowing that the situation was not good, the ghost shark created the water body immediately, and the body was hidden on the ground. This time, it absorbed the chakra of Shueyu, and the injury was completely stable. At this time, a huge black goddess descended from the sky, and the high-speed straight fist swung straight to the ground. The ghost shark jumped out from the ground, and it was Sai who launched the attack. Supernatural fake painting. With the anger of the caster, the expressions of the gods and Buddhas will become sinister, and the power will also increase. Since Sakai was defeated by the ghost shark, he has been looking for a chance to shame. Dodging the right fist of the Buddha statue, the ghost shark swung a knife and absorbed the entire right arm of the god and Buddha. Then he turned his head to look at Sakai, and the ghost shark sneered twice. I didn't expect you to be alive, you were really tenacious. Last time, you were lucky enough to save your life. Will you come and give it back to me this time? Facing the cynicism of the ghost shark, Sakai had no impulsiveness. His ink painting can be said to be completely restrained by the ghost shark. As long as he gets close to the big sword and swings it, it will be absorbed. It can be said that apart from Feng Yao, there are really not many ghost sharks who can single out. At this moment, the ghost shark can't see other people's figures for the time being, so he decided to provoke the main beam alone, and his mouth bulged high. Water escape, big burst of water. This move Feng Yao didn't want the ghost shark to release. The shadow of the wheel tomb could only move for a while, and it was cooling down temporarily, so he directly raised his right hand. In my heart, I meditated, Vientian Tianian. A suction force enveloped the ghost shark's body and flew uncontrollably towards Feng Yao, and the ninjutsu was forced to stop. Feng Yao took advantage of the situation to create a black stick from his right hand through the Eye of Reincarnation, ready to control the ghost shark. Just when the ghost shark had already flown in front of him, a mutation suddenly occurred. Obito blurred out from the ground, and waved the death scythe to Feng Yao's right hand. This scythe was once the decisive battle between Uchiha Madara and Hashima. It is not easy to be carried around by the spot. The timing of the pick with the soil was very good, and it was too late to think. The sharp sickle had already stabbed Feng Yao's skin before it could be cut. He was convinced that even if he used an iron block, he would not be able to perfectly defend against this knife. At this moment, Orochimaru reacted first. His tongue stuck out and quickly changed into a black python that bit Obito. Tongue snake sucking swallow. But Obito didn't care, because Obito had already used his left eye to activate Izanagi, and he had just used this ninjutsu to escape the terrifying slash of Sukuru. And Izanagi with the soil was up to 10 minutes. He didn't care about being injured or dying, so he dared to open the blur, but this also let him know that the shadow of the tomb of the wheel that Feng Yao placed in the Shinwei space disappeared, and he was even more helpless. Scruples. The ghost shark's heart was also slightly calm at this moment. Madara's shot is just right. Others have no time to rescue, and when the other party stops ninjutsu, I directly use the earth escape. The wave of Obito was absolutely amazing. Feng Yao's eyes flashed fiercely, and he was more ruthless than him. The moment before the death scythe was cut, the black stick was inserted directly into the chest of the ghost shark, and the arm was cut off by Obito in the next second, and the blood stained Obito's mask. This bastard, was willing to cut off his hand. Obito cursed in his heart. Feng Yao just had countless ways to avoid the sickle, dodge, blur, or Shen Luo Tianzheng. But Feng Yao did not choose, because these would make him miss the opportunity to control the ghost shark. Master Feng Yao. Others were worried about Feng Yao at the same time. This is an arm, if you don't want it, don't want it. The python also bit Obito's neck at this time. Obito's body faded and disappeared, and appeared in another place. He was no longer able to rescue the ghost shark. The ghost shark Chakra, who was stabbed by the black stick, was directly restrained, and his ninjutsu was completely useless, and Taiyu next to him immediately ran over and covered Feng Yao's bleeding right arm with his hand. Xianju also opened her sleeves and ran. Master Feng Yao, please bite me, this will stop your injury. Before finishing speaking, Feng Yao directly took his right arm from the ghost shark, and put the arm back to the shoulder. Smoke ignited at the joint, and it was back to normal in the blink of an eye. Feng Yao moved his arm slightly, indicating that the hand was already there. Never mind. Turning his head to Xianju and to Yuya, he smiled and said, I've made you worry. You can't take me for this small injury, forget it. I have more intercolumnar cells than all of you combined. After finishing speaking, he picked up the shark muscle next to him and threw it to Xianju. He smiled and said, it's yours, Xianju, don't let down the prestige of this knife. The latter was ecstatic when he got the knife, holding the big knife and rubbing constantly, and thanked Feng Yao repeatedly. Seeing that Feng Yao was confirmed to be fine, the two of them finally breathed a sigh of relief. Xianju complained a little. How can a broken hand be considered a minor injury? Master Feng Yao should have avoided it just now, just scared me to death. Taiyu also expressed his approval in silence, and touched the joint of his arms to see if there were any wounds. Feng Yao shook his head slightly. He just adopted the correct tactics, remove the enemy's extremely powerful ghost shark, because there is no member in the Xian who can restrain the opponent, which can greatly improve the winning rate on his side. He couldn't let his subordinates deal with such a dangerous character. To Yuya and Sakai were lessons from the past. Even in such a dangerous situation just now, the scene where the ghost shark almost killed Xianju strengthened Feng Yao's determination. Obito is not a fool. Deidara was killed, other people were killed, and the ghost shark was captured. Feng Yao's side can be said to have established an absolute advantage. He wanted to retreat, which was undoubtedly a wise move. But the outsider golem hasn't had time to take it back, which made it difficult for him to accept, but at this time the good news came. Ju floated up from the ground. Nagato has broken the seal on the outsider golem, channeled the golem away, and the others have not died. Our mission has been accomplished. Let's retreat directly, the ghost shark can't save it. Quote. In the slashing wave just now, Paine's six paths cooperated with each other, and the visual sharing was combined with the reincarnation eye. It can be said that the nuclear bomb-like offensive was overcome with the least cost. And while the people were fighting, they broke the seal and channeled away the outsider golem. This time, Xiao was also fully prepared, and placed a barrier around the golem that could isolate the spiritism. Obito just thought for a moment, then decided to start retreating. HMPH, if you want to leave now, don't you think it's too late, just stay with me. After Gaara and the others heard it, they rushed up directly. Feng Yao had already prepared the front line for them, and they knew all the information about the other party. If they couldn't win it, then their subordinates would be embarrassed. Chapter 104-Rescue Two Tails. Shang Rin was guarding Feng Yao, and the rest of them all besieged Obito, and Feng Yao was not idle. He also had important things to do. Pulling the ghost shark off the ground, Feng Yao asked in a cold voice, "Where is the teak man? Tell me you can live." "You heard it, they didn't plan to save you at all. If you don't say there's only one way to die." Quote. The important thing now is to find out the whereabouts of the teak man. After all, the other party has obtained an outsider golem, and the situation of the teak man at the moment is not optimistic. Ghost Shark did not struggle, but his eyes suddenly became dazed. Is there a dead end? This may be the best destination for ninjas, but unfortunately I can't see the day when the Eye of the Moon project is completed. Mr. Itachi, sorry, looks like you need a new companion. Then his expression became firm. He gritted his teeth, stretched out his right hand, held the black stick on his chest and stabbed it towards the heart. He would sacrifice his life to protect the intelligence of the Shao organization. Even as an enemy, Feng Yao deeply admired the ghost shark, but he would never let it go. What a rare talent, loyal, but unfortunately you are with the wrong person. Feng Yao said silently in his heart. Then he will hold the right hand of the ghost shark that wants to commit suicide, and twist it cruelly with a flip. What? Then the 5 fingers of the left hand spread out, holding the head of the ghost shark. Easy to drink, human road. Feng Yao used the ability of the human world in the eyes of reincarnation, heart-level diving, which is a powerful ninjutsu to collect information, and can read out the information you want in a few seconds. The life of a ghost shark is like a revolving lantern. In front of the screen. Finally stopped in the picture of the teak man. This is a cave that looks gloomy underground. The teak man fell on a stone platform, and there are many Baiju guards next to it. Obito obviously relocated the base, but as long as Feng Yao can see it, he can directly use Yikuan Hirazaka to move there. After collecting the information, Feng Yao extracted the soul of the ghost shark, and the ghost shark's body fell like a golden pillar. This real ninja, who thinks he has lived in a falsehood all his life, and regards tasks and information as more important than life, became the second member of the Shao organization to die today. Feng Yao asked Shang Rin to keep the ghost shark's body, and he opened Yongchang Hirazaka to save the teak man. And Obito alone can't deal with the indiscriminate bombardment of so many people. After all, the blur can only last for 5 minutes. Fortunately, there is a must-be by the side. Obito dodged Hideyoshi's slash, and took the time to confront Ju. I can't escape this way. Where are they? Come to support me. As soon as the words fell, countless pieces of paper floated down in the sky, and a closer look was mixed with a lot of detonating symbols. Xiaonan used pieces of paper to piece together the upper body of a human figure, and threw the rest of the paper together with the detonating talisman at the crowd to buy time for Obito. And, Shao, organization headquarters. A black door of space appeared here, and all Baiju immediately became cautious. Who? No, someone is attacking. Wow, someone raided. I'm so nervous. Isn't it easy to feel comfortable at this time? Can you tell me, are these two feelings very similar? These people started chatting with each other. There is a Baiju here. He can't see his facial features. His face is full of clusters of white granulation. It looks very like a mask worn after Obito. In Obito's words, it looks like stool. This guy is Fei, also known as Vortex Baiju, is one of Baiju's individuals and can be attached to others to enhance the possessed person's power, mobility, etc. Although Feng Yao's chakra is not much left now, it is more than enough to deal with a few Baiju. Feng Yao turned a deaf ear to the surrounding sounds, and walked directly towards the teak man's position. Baiju next to him swarmed up, trying to suppress Feng Yao by the number of people. Wolf Hunt, hands from all sides. One of the iron block extension skills, it will instantly grow sharp nails and attack Baiju. The speed is so fast that the physical claw attack can be transformed into a slashing force like Land's feet. Feng Yao does not want to waste investigation on these miscellaneous fish. Carrot. The surrounding Baiju was all chopped into pieces of white meat. Ah, this guy is horrible. Can't get close, you will die. Where is the main body? The surrounding Baiju was afraid of being killed, so he didn't dare to go forward for a while. At this time, Fei with a funny personality stood up. He asked seriously, "Hey, do you know what it means? I really want to know. If you tell me, I won't stop you. Do you think it's good?" Feng Yao didn't want to pay attention to him at all. With a move, he smashed the ground and appeared directly on top of Fei's head. Lanjiao Beilei, _. With a perfect 180-degree turn, he slashed towards Fei with one foot. When he was about to cut off Fei's head, a few huge wooden bars appeared on the ground, trying to block the blazing white thunder, but the wood was like tofu, smoothed by cut off. Fei's arm was drawn out in a big way. He exclaimed, it hurts, but I still don't know what the meaning of stool is." Fei jumped and ran away, jumping over his wound in the distance. Feng Yao did not speak, and his body was covered in blue chakra. "Must do what you can." A sternum appeared in Feng Yao's body to protect him, and then he condensed blue bones and his arms grabbed Fei, wanting to pinch the opponent to death. Fei opened his arms, smashed them into the ground, and the power of Mu Dun instantly created several big trees full of thorns, circling upwards. Wooden Hell Rebellion. The wildly growing giant tree directly blocked Feng Yao's whisker arm, and also wrapped around Feng Yao, drowning Feng Yao. The skeletal rattling continued, and then suddenly there was no sound. "Oh, did you get killed by me? Ha ha ha, what a pity, I still want to ask him about the convenience." Fei seemed a little regretful, but he was very happy after completing his mission. It's just that he didn't notice that Feng Yao's body had moved behind him, and trapped inside was Feng Yao's shadow of the Tomb of the Wheel. Swapped places. The next moment, Fei's body was fixed in place, and the shadow of the Tomb of the Wheel had firmly fixed him. "Hey, what's the matter? Why can't I move? It's strange, who did it? What do you think?" Feng Yao walked in front of Fei. The other party was obviously stunned, and said in disbelief, "Aren't you trapped by me? What's going on, shadow clone?" "Then I can't tell you. To be honest, I'm a little interested in you. I'll give you two options. 1, follow me, and obey my orders from now on. 2, I will kill you and make you a sample. Go back. Then can you tell me what it means?" "Okay, Tilda." Feng Yao smiled slightly. Fei is an extremely special sample of Baiju, and he might get something from Orochimaru's research, so he has been showing mercy. After solving Baiju, Feng Yao walked towards the teak man. The empty right arm and the bloodless face showed that this female ninja suffered a lot, but Feng Yao really didn't know any medical ninjutsu here. He can only carry the teak man on his back. Open, Wangquan Hirazaka, put her in Yinyan village first, and then threw the fly to a small island. He doesn't have time to control the fly right now, and he will fly after the battle is over. Give it to Orochimaru. Chapter 105 _ Obito. A series of explosions continued to sound. Xiaonan's detonating talisman seems to have no end. because the surrounding gravel and broken wood have all turned into detonating talismans. This is the technique of Xiaonan Shen's paper maker, which can transform paper into any object, which has achieved the purpose of camouflage. The endless detonating talismans kept bombarding, and Obito used his right eye to shoot the large shuriken, darts, etc. stored in the space for long-range attacks with divine power. Faced with a large number of detonating talismans and large shuriken, the fairy people are ready to temporarily avoid the edge. Gaara manipulated the sand and turned it into a hood, protecting everyone layer by layer. At this moment, Gaara has also entered the state of curse seal. In his first state, there will be fine sand-like black lines on his body, and then the skin on his body changes, his hair turns gray, 2 huge ears grow, his pupils turn dark gold, and there are black stripes at the corners of his eyes. Texture. Gaara formed the seal again, mobilized the chakra, and the sand on the surface suddenly formed several huge palms. Desert Trader. With a light drink from Gaara, the sand that turned into both hands attacked or defended the flying large shuriken and detonator. This is not a random application of sand, this kind of hand can grab a ninjutsu or ninja gear and even throw it back. In other words, this kind of sand arm is not only of physical properties, but also of ninjutsu properties. Xiaonan and Obito's joint strike was blocked by Gaara, which shows that Obito didn't expect it. But Obito and Conan's attack had bought enough time, and the loud sound of the explosion also let other members of the Shao organization know the location of the battlefield. The undead duo came to Obito in an instant. Koto's clothes were already in tatters. It should have been caused by the attack just now. You can see from the back that 3 masks were missing. That is to say, there are only 2 lives left in the corner, and he must replenish his heart as soon as possible. Of course, his appearance is still far worse than that of Feijuan. Feijuan's body is obviously pieced together. There are traces of black stitches on the chest, thighs, and arms. The corners are all to find Feijuan. His body wasted a lot of time, and the current Feijuan is extremely furious. You guys who don't believe in evil gods, you actually hurt me like this, that bastard in white with a mask. I want him to feel the same pain as me. Feijuan cursed, although he won't die, but he can feel the pain, and Feijuan doesn't have any regeneration ability and the ability to automatically restore broken limbs, so he can only ask the corners to be stitched. After saying this, a chakra shockwave knocked the already overwhelmed body into the air in one blow, which was Neji's Bagua empty palm. Under the protection of the sand, he turned on the state of curse Xianju, and still maintained the gesture of waving his palms, and warned Feijuan strongly, if you are disrespectful to Lord Fengyao, I will knock you down with the next blow. Brain. I didn't expect that the strength of the immortal organization increased so quickly. I'm afraid I won't be able to capture Yue for a while now. Obito snorted coldly when he saw the strength of the opposite, the seal order of the golems. It must be done in order of the number of tails of the tailed beast. From the beginning of the first tail to the end of the 9 tails, now the outsider golem is in hand again, but it is difficult to catch one tail, which makes Obito physically and mentally exhausted. The rest of the people also rushed over. Itachi didn't seem to be hurt, but he was panting, probably using too much pupil power. After he came here, his first reaction was to see if the ghost shark was there. When he saw the ghost shark's body, he was rarely stunned and showed a sad expression. Although it was only for a moment, for Itachi is very rare. Uchiha Itachi regarded the dried persimmon ghost as his companion in his heart. He silently stared at the ghost shark's corpse and whispered, "Ghost shark, have you seen yourself clearly at the last moment of your life? If there is a next life, I hope you can still be friends." Then he looked back. Itachi's psychological quality was extremely strong, and he quickly recovered from the death of the ghost shark, facing the situation in front of him. For Itachi, the Shao spy, he needs to judge the situation reasonably, just like Itachi let Fengyao go. He wants to weaken the strength of the 2 organizations as much as possible, and reduce the possible danger for Konoha. Scorpion came here with Ju. He obviously changed his puppet's body, which made him very unhappy, but there was nothing he could do about Feng Yao's strength. Then, the Tao of Humanity, Tao of Asura, Tao of Heaven, and Tao of Hungry Ghost appeared at the same time. Everyone was different from before. The new Tao of Heaven turned his head and said, "If the task has been completed, then retreat first, and in the future, I will make a plan to cover you." Obito didn't hesitate at all, and the majestic whirlpool in his right eye had already begun to prepare. First absorbed Xiaonan next to him, and then took away the remaining Xiao organization members one by one. Remember that, Shinra Tianzheng bounced Gaara away. Shira Road released countless missiles to attack everyone, and now Feng Yao finally came back, frowned when he saw the missiles all over the sky, raised his hand and waved. Round Grave Border Prison. The invisible shadow shattered all the missiles. Although the pens with Samsara eyes could see it, there was nothing they could do. Only the six paths and immortal techniques could attack the wheel tomb. It is incomprehensible to humans. For those who have the power of the six paths, it is actually an advanced shadow clone plus instant body technique, so it may be easier to understand. Feng Yao did not go to see Obito and the others who were about to retreat, but turned back and said to Hideyoshi, "The teak man has been rescued by me and is now placed in Yinyan village by me, you can rest assured." Hideyoshi couldn't tell when he heard the excited words. His hand holding the ninja sword was shaking slightly. Really, thank you, Lord Feng Yao. Even if you want my life in the future, I will never complain." On the other side, Obito heard this, his eyes darkened with anger. His own nest was found and broken by Feng Yao, and Wei, who was finally obtained, was sent back again. He almost clenched his teeth. "Feng Yao, just wait. Next time it won't be so easy. Your immortal organization makes such a big commotion. I will help you to publicize it well. You just wait for the Big Five, the siege of the country." After speaking, Obito sucked himself into the Shinwei space together. Gaara and the others were just about to make a move, but they were stopped by Feng Yao reaching out his hand. Tien Dao and others also exploded a cloud of smoke and disappeared, which was to channel them away through the animal Dao. This time Nagato has also learned a lot, and put the important animal path in a safe place, so that the psychic pain can evacuate at any time. The battle has finally come to an end, leaving only a large area of ruins and a huge deep ditch. Chapter 106 _ Critical. Gaara showed puzzled eyes next to him, and said with an inquiring tone, "Master Feng Yao, why didn't you stop them just now? There are so many of us, at least 70% of them can be sure to destroy them." After being silent for a while, Feng Yao opened his mouth and said, "Of course there is a chance to destroy them all, but it will cost a lot. We have a better choice, and the teak man has been rescued. There is no need to fight with Xiao now, then it's a meaningless sacrifice." Master Feng Yao is right. Tu nodded aside. He agreed with Feng Yao's approach. Blind pursuit and battle will only increase casualties. After a pause, Feng Yao continued, "Besides, it's not that I have no means left at all. Everyone go back and pack up. We are going to evacuate." Everyone was already mentally prepared, and this place could no longer stay. Feng Yao finally left Orochimaru and Do and added, "You two, go and treat the teak man. She is seriously injured. Help her to transplant a prosthetic limb, remember. Don't let her wake up for the time being. Regarding her placement, I'll discuss it with Hideyoshi." Orochimaru took the lead. Although the teak man was Hideyoshi's lover, he was not a member of the immortal organization. Before determining the other party's attitude, Feng Yao could not reveal any information to her. "Over there, remember to remove Mr. Orochimaru's experimental body. What's in these containers, no matter what, take them away. Hey, don't touch that dress. It's mine." Everyone quickly sorted out the remaining things and moved them outside. Finally, Feng Yao opened Yongchang Hirazaka, and left Yinyan village with everyone. In a hidden place a few kilometers away from the village of Yinyan, Hyuga Hazu closed his eyes, and next to him were Konoha Yuta Joinen and Nara Shikahisa. Everyone was silent, and after seeing the battle just now, they knew that they had no chance of winning. Lu Ju was the first to speak. Have you recorded the battle just now? Well, it's a little far away, but it's all recorded. The answer was a special Junin, who was full of fighting spirit before he came, but this kind of momentum was a few kilometers away from the flamboyant Susa. After the mountain outside was split in half, there was nothing left. As long as these recorded images are spread throughout the 5 countries, the war will stop immediately, and everyone's goal will be the same as the Xian organization. Lu Ju knew that everyone was under attack at the moment, so he spoke to comfort. Don't lose your faith in fighting. No matter how bad the situation is, we will always find a way. Do you want to waste the news that Tsunade-sama is desperately delivering? As expected of Konoha's 1st Military Division, a few words stabilized the military's heart. Lu Ju thought for a while, then turned his head and said, "It seems that they have left now. Let's go in and check the situation inside and leave a small team just in case. It is still very dangerous to enter it now, and I don't know if Feng Yao and others will return, but in order to obtain more information, Konoha's ninjas can also risk their own lives, and Lu Ju and Haiyi each lead a team to enter Orochimaru's stronghold." When passing through the underground, there was a strong smell of blood. This was the experimental body that Orochimaru was trapped in before. In order to ensure the security of intelligence when leaving, Orochimaru channeled a giant snake and swallowed them all. Konoha's ninjas moved forward cautiously, but they found very little. There was nothing left in Orochimaru's laboratory. All the data and intelligence were taken away, but they found something more important. My God, these are my Konoha's ninjutsu and forbidden art scrolls. How can they all be in the immortal organization? Yes, there is no mistake, these have my Konoha's mark on them. There are so many, my Konoha's ninjutsu has been stolen by Xian. Lu Ju and others hurried over. As the current Hokage's assistant, he knows some secrets about the theft of forbidden techniques, but he didn't expect to be able to retrieve these ninjutsus this time, and even he was a little unspeakably excited. Suddenly he hurriedly said, "Come on, put all these scrolls away. We will retreat immediately." These scrolls have not been taken away, which means that Feng Yao and others may come back at any time. Everyone hurriedly picked up the scrolls and all evacuated from Yinyan village. And when the ninjas were waiting anxiously, they saw the footsteps of Lu Ju and others hurried back. Lu Ju directly ordered the crowd, Go back to Konoha village." Feng Yao led everyone to the floating city, which has not yet been completed, but being in the city in the air still surprised everyone. Xianju swallowed her saliva, looked around and said, "This is in the sky, it can't be an illusion, how can it fly?" "Lord Feng Yao can't do anything, you are too surprised." Shangren pretended to be calm and satirized Xianju, but her slightly trembling body still betrayed her. Judging from the current construction progress, it should take a lot of time to complete. Gaara suggested, "Why didn't we help together, it will be faster." Feng Yao nodded slightly, "Well, okay, Hideyoshi, come here, I have something to tell you." While the others had gone to help build the city, Hideyoshi was left alone. Hideyoshi seemed to know what Feng Yao wanted to say, and nodded heavily. Feng Yao took Hideyoshi to an open space and sat down. "Hideyoshi, the teak man is your lover, you are my subordinate, I will save her only because of this relationship, but she is not my Xian organization after all, so I need you to make a choice. Yes, choose to follow me, or take her back to Union Village." The straight-to-the-point question made Hideyoshi a little overwhelmed. He was really thinking about what to do if the teak man woke up. The other party was from Union Village, so it was naturally impossible to stay with him in the Xian organization. Feng Yao also saw the struggle in Hideyoshi's heart, so he let him make a choice. This is a problem that must be solved, and the information of the organization cannot be leaked because of one person. Feng Yao added again, "If you choose to stay in the Xian organization, then you may not be able to see her in the future, but you can protect her in secret, if you choose to go back to Union Village with her. A spell will be planted on you to make sure you don't leak information. If other people were at risk of leaking information, they would have been silenced by Feng Yao long ago, but Feng Yao doesn't seem to be so heartless towards his subordinates. Hideyoshi's eyes were first struggling, suffering, and hesitating, and finally settled down. I used to think I lost her, but you gave me hope. I said, as long as you can save the wooden man, my queen will be gone. I will be a cow and a horse for you half my life, I will never break my promise. He knelt down on one knee and bowed heavily towards Feng Yao. Seeing Hideyoshi's thoughts, Feng Yao laughed out loud, and he patted Hideyoshi on the shoulder. Okay. Very good, then I can rest assured, you can take the teak man back to Union Village and live with her. But you have a vital task to accomplish, and that is to become Hokage. Author's digression. It's been 3 rounds. I'll give you an update. I hope you don't raise books these days. I love you. Chapter 107-Hidden Nuke. The blue sky is crystal clear. The wind was blowing slowly, brushing the ends of Hideyoshi's hair. His eyes widened and he froze in place. He had already made the most painful choice, but Feng Yao suddenly made a sharp turn. Can let him return to Union Village with his beloved, and let him become Hokage. That represents the greatest ninja in a village. It is also the leader of the village. It took half a minute for Hideyoshi to react, and he shouted, You want me to be Hokage? And said, I can go back to Union Village with the wooden man. But why need me to be Hokage? Feng Yao nodded lightly. He just tested Hideyoshi's mind. If Hideyoshi chooses to meet the teak people in Union Village, then Feng Yao will also plant a curse on him and choose to let him leave, but Hideyoshi did not let him go. Disappointed. Feng Yao then continued, because you are strong enough and originally from Union Village, the reason for letting you Hokage is because I need to let Union Village act according to my will when necessary. Your time is very long, I want you to find a way to take the position of Hokage within 2 years, of course, I will arrange someone to help you. These remarks also calmed Hideyoshi's heart a little. It is impossible for him to gain a firm foothold in Union and become Hokage by himself. Although Feng Yao still didn't state his purpose, Feng Yao's actions and kindness to himself were enough for Hideyoshi to do anything for him. Hideyoshi was still a little overwhelmed by this sudden and important task. I'm afraid not. This task is too important. Feng Yao's strength is very reassuring to Hideyoshi. He is in the front position in the whole, immortal, mainly because of his ingenuity. Feng Yao plans to transfer his team to the country of Thunder first, and is responsible for coordinating and helping. Don't worry, I will arrange someone to help you. This matter is a top-secret mission. You must not tell anyone, even the teak people, understand? Feng Yao's goal is to replace the shadows of the villages with his subordinates within 2 years. This is a major event, and there is no room for mistakes. The main targets are Konoha Village, Union Village, and Yenian Village, of which Feng Yao in Yenian Village has not yet been selected. The strength of the other 2 villages is the weakest, and Wuyin Village can arrange for Zaibuzan or Terumi Mei to reassert the position of Mizukage. Shiyin can arrange Gara to replace Luo Sha. In fact, it doesn't matter if there are no people in these 2 places. As long as the 3 countries of Thunder, Fire, and Earth are under control, great things can be expected. Just as the previous families merged into villages and tried to reduce the war, Feng Yao wanted to merge the 5 villages into a consortium, controlled by the Xian organization behind, formulate unified policies and regulations, and then solve the war and complete the peace of the ninja world. Hideyoshi looked at Feng Yao with a determined face, and could only nod his head and said, My subordinates understand, and I will never leak information, but I am Yunyin's rebellion. I am afraid that the senior management of Yunyin Village will not easily win the trust of Yunyin Village. Me. No, from today onwards, you will not be Yunyin's rebellion. As soon as Hideyoshi finished his words, Feng Yao interrupted him directly. You are the hero who helped Union Village regain the power of the human pillar. It was you who led the Xian to fight against Shao with the news of the tailed beast, and let them kill each other. Everyone in the world has seen your heroic battle against Shao. My Xian organization hates you even more, understand? Hideyoshi was stunned again, and then suddenly realized that this was a whitewash arranged by Feng Yao, so he lowered his head and said, "Understood, then when should my subordinates leave?" Feng Yao smiled and said, "Very soon. Before that, we still need to wait for someone. I will tell you all the detailed plans for the next fight when you leave. You can go to rest first, or go to accompany you. Teak people can." Quote. Hideyoshi blushed slightly, bowed, then turned his head and left, leaving Feng Yao alone. The outsider golem should have been taken by Obito now. Let's find the child Lingyu. Feng Yao thought in his heart, with a certain gloom hidden in his eyebrows, then stood up and walked on the flat ground. The child who was picked up by Orochimaru from Kaoyan has grown a lot taller, and his body is not so thin. He is wearing the old gray ninja uniform and handing others water not far away. Sir Feng Yao is good. Yin Ren, who was next to him, saw everyone saying hello, but Feng Yao ignored it, but went straight to Ling Yu's side before stopping. Looking at Ling Yu who was busy, he said with concern behind him, "Ling Yu, you don't have to rush to help now, are you feeling better?" "Okay, much better, thank you Feng Yao for your concern, and it doesn't matter how much blood I lose, I can replenish it soon." Ling Yu turned her head suddenly, flattered by Feng Yao's concern. Since he was brought back, he has been staying in Orochimaru's laboratory to be studied by Trix. Although he has indeed developed a lot of abilities, he never wants to have that kind of experience in his life. Now he sees Orochimaru's legs trembling and is very scared. Other side. But unfortunately, what he didn't know was that Feng Yao, who was on the side, saw Ling Yu's shy temperament and thought to himself, although Ling Yu has strength, but unfortunately his personality is a little weak, I will let Orochimaru hone him more in the future. Ah, I must be a general of my, Xian, organization in the future. It is estimated that when Ling Yu heard these words, he was afraid that he would collapse directly. After saying the polite words, Feng Yao asked in a low voice, "How about it, can you still feel the approximate location of the outsider golem now?" Seeing that Feng Yao was serious, Ling Yu didn't dare to be careless, and responded quickly, "Yes. Yes, Lord Feng Yao, now the outsider golem is located in the west, as long as I get close, I can manipulate my blood." "Very good, I will let you do it when you need it, don't be discovered by them now." Feng Yao looked at Ling Yu and nodded slightly. Obito manipulated the hostages, so why wouldn't Feng Yao play tricks on the outsider golem? Ling Yu's weeping bloodline has been studied almost by Orochimaru. He can manipulate and create blood, which can not only be used to sense positioning, but also change according to the fluctuations of his own emotions, and then release different ninjutsu. The blood becomes corrosive when he is depressed, burns when he is slightly emotional, and explodes when he is angry. Feng Yao made Ling Yu blood to coat the entire outsider golem and hide it inside. It can be said that the current outsider golem is still a disguised nuclear bomb and tracker. The weeping bloodline has never appeared, so Obito will never guard against this. This way, when dealing with Xiao, there is another trump card. Feng Yao has always used intelligence very well, using the information gap to continuously attack the enemy. Finally, firmly occupy the initiative and advantage. Chapter 108-Tsunade Information. Konoha Village. One is tall and wears a forehead guard with the word, oil, written on it. Long white hair down to the waist. A middle-aged man wearing a red coat with brown clothes inside was running fast on the house, and he directly broke into the Hokage hall. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hidden and the sixth Hokage Kakashi are all here at the moment, and they are discussing things. But obviously the man didn't care, and his urgent voice sounded, "I heard news about Tsunade. What's the situation?" Seeing that the person who came was reckless, the sixth-generation Hokage Kakashi not only did not blame, but immediately went up to console and said, "Jiraiya-sama, don't worry, we also just got news from Tsunade-sama a day ago, and I have sent them quickly." People rushed past. Jiraiya calmed down a bit and continued to ask, "Are you going to rescue Tsunade? Or do you want to fight with the Sen organization head-on?" Kakashi pulled Jiraiya and sat down. Then he sighed. None of them. Tsunade-sama didn't want us to save her. She pretended to rely on the Xian organization, and then sent a letter through the slug. Our Xian and Xiao organizations are preparing to snatch the power of the tailed beast in Yinyan village. Send a letter through a slug. Where's the slug? Zilai also frowned deeply. He felt something was wrong. According to the found ninja, it disappeared after delivering the letter. This aroused Jiraiya's suspicion even more. People were trapped in the immortal organization and could not escape. Of course, it was understandable to use slugs to spread the message. But Jiraiya also remembered that Feng Yao and Slug seemed to know each other. If they contacted in advance and wrote a fake letter to lure Konoha to go. Thinking of this, he suddenly looked solemn and said to Kakashi, "No, you may have been fooled. Slug and Feng Yao know each other. They must want to take the opportunity to weaken the power of my Konoha, annihilate the outgoing team, and then directly attack me." Konoha village. Seeing Zilai also broke out in a cold sweat. Kakashi calmly analyzed for him. Absolutely not. If this is the case, then the letter can completely ask us to send a strong team, and only let us send ninjas who are good at reconnaissance, and Tsunade-sama's purpose. I want us to record the process of the battle between the Xian and Xiao organizations, and expose these two dark organizations to the ninja world. With that said, everyone's emotions gradually calmed down. Then a Chunin rushed into the Hokage hall, and he said hurriedly, "All the teams that went to Yinyan village to perform the mission have returned. They have obtained important news and intelligence." Kakashi finally breathed a sigh of relief when he heard it. He raised his brows and said, "Let them come over and tell them that Lord Jiraiya is also waiting for them." Hearing this news, Zilai also felt relieved. Maybe things were not as bad as they thought. Soon, Shikaku walked in. He bowed to Hokage and Jiraiya, and then dismissed everyone. Only Kakashi, Jiraiya, and 3 generations were left. Then he calmed down his excitement and said, "This time, thanks to the information from Master Tsunade, we not only recorded images of the battle between Sen and Xiao, and a lot of precious personnel information, but also found in their strongholds. Back to all the scrolls of Konoha's ninjutsu and forbidden arts." "Really? Where are you now?" The 3 generations of Hokage Sarutobi Hijin interrupted Luju directly when he heard this. These ninjutsu are too important, and they are the key to Konoha's future talent training. And Konoha has been desperately trying to hide this news, not only because of shame, but also because of the threat of neighboring countries, and now he can finally take it back. Hearing this, Jiraiya also dispelled his last doubts. He now believes that it was the information that Tsunade sent back. Because he knew that people like Feng Yao could not return the precious forbidden technique to Konoha. If he did, he must have a bigger plan, but obviously Konoha did not suffer any losses. Jiraiya breathed a sigh of relief, and at the same time was proud of his beloved. "Tsunade, you have compared me again. If you can come back, I'm afraid the next Hokage will be you. You must hold on." He prayed for Tsunade in his heart. Then, the other ninjas brought in a lot of scrolls, which were indeed Konoha's ninjutsu. 3 generations of Hokage held a scroll, his arms trembled slightly, and old tears were scattered. Finally, the ninjutsu, "That's great, this time Tsunade did a good job, and made a great contribution." After the 3 generations of Hokage calmed down, Kakashi ordered the ninjas to put away these scrolls and set up an enchantment to strictly guard them. Luju glanced at the crowd and sighed. "Speaking of which, there is good news and bad news. The good news is that we have indeed obtained images of the 2 organizations at war, and by sending this to the rest of the great powers, it is completely safe to do so. The war can be stopped for now, but the bad news is, they're too strong." Saying that, Luju took out a videotape and started playing the content. Inside, Feng Yao smashed the mountain with one blow, Xiaonan's hundreds of millions of explosive talismans, and the mysterious space ninjutsu made everyone present feel a sense of oppression. After a long time, Kakashi let out a long sigh and said, "I really didn't expect such 2 terrorist organizations to live by our side. Fortunately, Mr. Tsunade has heard the news and sent a copy of the video to the majors as soon as possible. The country contains the rebellion of every country. They will not sit idly by. Quote. Understood. Lu Ju left quickly, and the cloud of war seemed to be lifted. Konoha sexually with a green-eyed man. Lord Fengyao's arrangement seems to have been successful. This little man's actions are really unpredictable. If he shows that kind of power, even Konoha will have to be forced to surrender. Why should he go around in a circle? Hee, you really dare to call it that, Master Shuiying. We should go back and return to our lives. I'm not a water shadow, but you're right, Tilda. After saying that, Terumi May touched the blue-white skin of the miniature version of the slug in her hand. Little guy, please, tell the people over there that the mission has been completed. Quote. After waiting for another quarter of an hour, a black door of space appeared in front of them, and the two walked in, and the surrounding scenery changed instantly. The first thing he saw was Fengyao with a familiar face mask. He opened his arms and said, "Welcome back. Did you encounter any trouble in Konoha?" Zabuzhan bowed slightly and responded, "No, according to what you said. After we put the slugs nearby, the Konoha people immediately reported to the village when they found them, and sent some ninjas who were good at reconnaissance, and just returned. All the scrolls were brought back, and the images must have been in their hands." Quote. Chapter 109 _ War. Fengyao nodded and said that he was very satisfied. When he went to catch Tsunade, he had already planned to let Tsunade take over Konoha village in the future. Being a Hokage requires not only strength, but also identity. Tsunade is naturally suitable as Konoha's princess. Fengyao used a kaleidoscope to write a letter to imitate Tsunade's handwriting to tell the transaction between himself and Xiao, and let Konoha send someone over. First, in order to let all the 5 major countries know their great strength, first force them to truce. 2. Take this opportunity to fulfill the promise with Tsunade and return all the ninjutsu to Konoha. 3. Make Tsunade a hero. 3 birds with 1 stone. Then Fengyao stretched out his right hand to invite Tsunade next to him. I have fulfilled my promise to return all Konoha's ninjutsu, and after this image spreads to all countries, the war will stop. Now you can rest assured and execute my orders. Tsunade didn't answer. She already knew what happened through the slug avatar in her hand, and the look in Fengyao's eyes was extremely complicated, and the other party really kept her promise. Moreover, her thoughtful mind made her a little creepy, and she easily played the 5 major countries with applause. She took a deep breath and asked the last question very seriously. Why are you doing this? Fengyao withdrew his right hand and took off his mask after a long time. The voice echoed in Tsunade's ears. For the peace of the ninja world. Tsunade's expression was exaggerated, and in the end he couldn't help but burst into laughter. A guy who made terrorist attacks and murdered people everywhere suddenly told you that he was for peace, so everyone would laugh. But if you think about it, there are many examples of this in Hokage. Nagato wants everyone in the world to feel pain in order to achieve peace, and then breeds peace in this pain. Sasuke wants to gather the hatred of the whole world on himself, and then use fear to rule the world, so that everyone hates himself, and then they don't hate anyone else. But although Tsunade laughed out loud, he also understood that Fengyao was serious, and with his current strength, there was absolutely no need to lie. Tsunade laughed until her stomach hurt a little. She took a slow breath, and then looked directly into Fengyao's eyes. I understand. I will also follow the way we traded. You can't attack Konoha, and I'm in the right place. It's time to become Hokage and complete the peace of your heart. This is the best choice for Tsunade, and Fengyao has stopped the war in his own way. Although it was wrong, it was really effective. It reduced a large number of innocent casualties of Konoha and returned the ninjutsu. If he refused to use Fengyao's character, he would still find a suitable candidate. Maybe Konoha would suffer. A smile appeared on Fengyao's face, which surprised everyone. Very well, then you have to help someone first. A day later, all the troops of the Kingdom of Thunder withdrew from the territory of the Kingdom of Fire and announced peace talks. Other countries responded one after another, saying that all wars are now stopped. And everything is because of an organization called Xian. As for Xiao, it has become an incidental secondary threat, because these two organizations are all rebellions of various countries, so no country can escape, they must arrange elite troops for siege. As for Tsunade's transmission of information, in addition to Konoha also explained it in the letter, but told the other three shadows that they need to keep strict confidentiality to ensure the safety of Tsunade, and there is no water shadow in Korean village yet, so only the elders know. At the border of the Land of Thunder, Hideyoshi was walking in the mountains with a teak man on his back, and Tsunade was following him. Let's take a rest first. We have already entered the border of the Land of Thunder, it should be considered safe. How is your injury? Tsunade, who was walking, suddenly stopped and turned to Hideyoshi and Yukino. Thank you, Tsunade-sama, I'm fine. If it wasn't for your medical ninjutsu, I'd be dead. The teak man thanked Tsunade, who smiled bitterly inwardly. The task Feng Yao arranged for her was to return to the Land of Thunder with Hideyoshi and help Hideyoshi win the trust of Union high-level officials. After the three came out, Tsunade woke the teak man and told him according to the negotiated rhetoric. Teak man. It doesn't matter, you also heard on the way that now the war has been stopped and we have a common enemy. Don't say it, it would be bad if people from Xian came after him, let's stick to it. Hideyoshi interrupted the conversation between the two, and continued to rush to Union Village with the teak man on his back. He was tired and sweated profusely while climbing the mountain. The teak man thoughtfully wiped the sweat off Hideyoshi's head with his sleeve. Her arm has been attached, it is a simple puppet arm, and she was told that it was Tsunade who connected it for her, and she was the one who saved herself, so she just thanked Tsunade so much. Hideyoshi smiled softly and moved on. Suddenly, 3 huge crescent-shaped slashes slashed towards Hideyoshi. Cloud Flow 3 Sun Moon Slash. The slashing speed was extremely fast, and it arrived in front of him in a moment, and Hideki Rai Chakra broke out. Thunderbolt Moon Step. The ground was instantly stepped on and cracked, interspersed with the 3 sun and moon slash, and 3 slender cracks were cut on the ground, and Tsunade quickly retreated. The attacker had brown skin, short white hair, and a lollipop in his mouth. He raised a ninja knife and threatened, Hideyoshi, you Union's traitor. Not only did you betray the village, but you also had a relationship with Xian. All kinds of organizations quickly put the teak man down. Then there were more than a dozen figures around, each of them was the elite of Union Village, and they stared at Hideyoshi sharply, as if to tear each other into pieces. Teak man hurriedly explained, it's not like this, you, Shogatar saved me, and Tsunade-sama. Seeing the teak man in a hurry, Hideyoshi felt distressed for a while, quickly put the teak man down, and patted his back lightly. Watching the teak man take the initiative to defend Hideyoshi, Omoi frowned and said, saved you. How could this happen? I saw the video that Konoha sent to us Union, and I saw this guy with the Xian organization and fighting against Xiao, what? At this time, Tsunade stood up. That information was passed on by me. I am one of Konoha's 3 ninjas, Tsunade, I want to meet your Hokage. Who do the 5 Congresses trust now? There is only Tsunade, because she is the hero who exposed the Sen organization and the Xiao organization, and the person who passed on important information. But Omoi didn't buy it. He couldn't listen to the other party just because of a few words. I can't trust you, I'm sorry, the teak people, it's a big deal, and your Konoha's Sanin, I can't trust you even more. If it's really like what the teak people said, then you don't resist, you will be caught by us. Stay, I will report to Reing-sama, it is up to him to decide whether to see you or not. Hideyoshi was surprisingly calm. Okay, I promise you, come and tie me up. Tsunade also directly stretched out his hands without intending to resist. Chapter 110 Explanation of the Teak Man. The towering mountain peaks, filled with clouds and mist, echoed with deafening thunder. Union Village is built on the top of the mountain. It has a huge conical building that is iconic. The whole body is blue. There are as many iron towers as power supply on each mountain. A dozen people escorted Tsunade and Hideyoshi into the prison, and the teak man grabbed the iron railing. "Gee, I will definitely save you, wait for me, cough. I'll go meet Reikage-sama now." Hideyoshi wasn't worried about himself. He held back the teak man's hand. "It doesn't matter, I believe Union Village and Tsunade-sama will give me back my innocence." Under the reluctant gazes of the two, the teak man was taken out, and the prison slowly regained its calm. Hideyoshi sat next to Tsunade, and there was a glint in his eyes. Now it's up to the teak people. In order to ensure the authenticity, Fengyao also sent Orochimaru to show the teak people the appearance of a chase and fight on the way to ensure that the teak people can believe what Tsunade and Hideyoshi said. At this moment, I is sitting in the raking hall and watching the video repeatedly in the crowd. The all-round elite of Union Village, Kaminoki couldn't help but sigh. This kind of power is probably stronger than that of a tailed beast. Even if the complete tailed beast of Lord Kurabi is not necessarily an opponent, there is also the opposite. Shao organization is also full of experts, no wonder the teak people will. I snorted coldly and hammered his right arm against the table. Rarely did he not refute Zai's words, but he still took the villages as an example. These bullshit organizations are not the connivance of various countries for rebellion and tolerance. The leader of this, immortal, organization is Konoha's rebellion. Moreover, the largest of the two organizations is Konoha, and this video does not show that the teak people are in the end where, it's really useless. After speaking, his anger was hard to subdue, and he punched the projector in front of him with a punch. Shichong sighed and said, "Lord Raking, there are also Yunyin and Ren. This Hideyoshi was hunted down by us a year and a half ago because he learned ninjutsu without authorization, but unfortunately he is nowhere to be found." Who would have thought? Lei Yingai's face was ugly. HMPH, then we are better than them. There is only one. We just need to kill the rebels in our village, and leave the rest to them. Apparently I didn't want to do more for other villages. He just wanted to get rid of his own village's rebellion and watch the show. However, if the immortal organization threatened Union Village, he would not hesitate to take action. At this moment, Omoi walked in, and everyone's eyes were focused on him. Omoi knelt down on one knee and raised his head. "Lord Reikage, my subordinates have successfully captured Hideyoshi Rebellion and are in prison at the moment, and Lord Teak is back." What? After hearing this, everyone's eyes widened and they were extremely surprised. Reikage rushed over and pulled Omoi directly. The terrifying speed made Omoi unable to react at all. Reikage shook and asked, "You captured Hideyoshi. What a joke, I just sent you out, and you can do it with your fighting ability. Where is the teak man?" This series of questions and answers completely stunned Omoi, and he was shaken by Reikage and couldn't think. Reikage's rude behavior was stopped by a hot body, white skin, short yellow hair, and blue-green pupils. She was Samui, the captain of the Omoi. "Don't shake him, let him say slowly, this child is always too pessimistic, let him go." Lei Ying put down the man angrily, and Omoi was able to breathe. "Cough, I didn't catch it. He was caught on his own initiative, and we also caught another member of the immortal organization, which is Mu Tsunade in Isanran." Hiss. Everyone in the hall sucked in a breath of cold air. The shadow of the famous tree of people has long been heard of the villages of Tsunade, and it is even more unbelievable. With the strength of Tsunade, you will be caught by Omoi. Omoi quickly added, she was also arrested on her own initiative. But Reikage frowned. As a shadow, he knew that Tsunade was pretending to join the enemy. The reason why Konoha was able to obtain such a precious information video this time was all due to the accuracy of Tsunade's information, but why did the other party appear in the What About Union Village? Reikage eagerly wanted to know the ins and outs of the matter. He ordered, "You call the teak man first, and also don't do anything to that Tsunade. Hideyoshi also don't hurt him for the time being, do you understand?" "Yes." Omoi turned and left, and after a while, walked in with the teak man. Seeing that their own people, Zhu Li, came back safe and sound, everyone hurried up to meet them, and a stone in their hearts was finally put down. Samui supported the Teak people who were floating in their footsteps. Their relationship in Union Village was not bad, but one was a relationship between people and pillars, so there were fewer opportunities to meet. I said with excitement, "Teakman, you actually came back. That's great. I thought that boy Omoi was talking nonsense. The village started the war and didn't take care of the rear, and it was me as Reikage who got you arrested. Remiss." Speaking of the end, Reikage I felt a little remorse, and the Teak man hurriedly said, "I'm fine, Reikage-sama. I want to ask you to let Hideyoshi and Tsunade-sama go. They are not members of Sen. They saved me." Quote. As soon as this remark came out, everyone's expressions suddenly turned pale, and she was even more serious. "Don't talk nonsense. We have already seen the image from Konoha, and Tsunade and Hideyoshi are clearly members of the Xian organization. There will be mistakes. Have you been deceived by them?" Quote. Reikage, who was on the side, spoke at this moment. "No, Tsunade of Konoha Village is indeed not a member of the Spirit organization, but a spy lurking in it. This video is also thanks to the other party's intelligence, but considering that Tsunade's safety, so only Shadow knows about it for the time being. Now that Tsunade has come out, it must be exposed." She sighed. He had also asked the source of this information, but Reikage did not tell himself. Indeed, as a spy, the identity must be top secret. Teak man added, "And I was kidnapped by the Shao organization. Hideyoshi even tried to assassinate the 6th Hokage to save me." Assassination of the 6th generation Hokage. To save you. I exaggeratedly grew his mouth, sometimes thinking about this kind of thing, but I didn't expect that someone would dare to do it. The people in this hall are also human beings, so I guessed a little about their relationship. Touching his hair, the Teak man was a little embarrassed, but continued, "But I failed, but at that time I happened to meet the leader of Xian, so he used the power of the second tail in my body to induce Xian and Shao to fight, and finally Tsunade-sama rescued me together, and we were chased and killed by the immortals before we entered the land of thunder, and we almost lost our lives." Quote. Lei Ying suddenly clicked his tongue. He didn't think that Hideyoshi, who he had just chased and killed, was doing everything to save the village's Renzuli. And Xian is still chasing each other. Chapter 111-Infiltrate Union Village. Lei Ying was stunned when he heard it, and then he was obviously very happy. So it is said that the war between Xian and Shao was planned by Union Village. Ha ha ha, then my union is not one of the 5 major countries now. The cleanest one, and also indirectly killed 2 members of Shao. What do you think, Shi? Choked by Zai's joining Xian, because of his rebellion, and now he has the opportunity to refute it and naturally he doesn't intend to miss it. Zai's tone was a little helpless. "You calm down first, Reikage-sama. No matter what, the information is always from Konoha. Let's let them out first." "You're right, I'll leave it to you, Shi. Go and bring them out." Reikage gave Shi a deep look, and then sat back on Reikage's seat. Soon, Tsunade and Hideyoshi were brought over. The Teak man ran to Hideyoshi's side and lightly took the other's arm. "Everyone looks at me and I hope you already understand the relationship between the two." Lei Ying put his hand on the table, glanced at it, and asked Hideyoshi first. Yan said concisely, "I heard the Teak man said that you rescued her and led the Xian and Shao to organize the fight in Union Village, is that so?" Ai's expression was serious, and his eyes seemed to shoot 2 thunderlights. Hideyoshi didn't know anything, stared at Reikage and said, "Everything I did was to save the Teak people, and if there is no Tsunade-sama in the end, we can't escape." "Very good, although you are a rebel, but this time you have done a lot of work. Tsunade, you saved the Teak people, but this immortal organization was created by you Konoha after all. Don't ask me to thank you." Reikage's expression softened a lot. "I don't want your thanks, I just don't want Xian to get the tailed beast. If you want to thank you, Thank you Union people. Thanks to the news of our way, he created such a good opportunity. Now I have exposed, I just want to return to Konoha village as soon as possible. Tsunade shrugged flatly. She didn't have much to say about Union. After all, the two countries were still at war a few days ago, and it was easy to reveal if they talked too much. Hearing Tsunade's words, Reikage also dispelled the last trace of doubt, and it became more pleasing to the eye when he looked at Hideyoshi. HMPH, then please stand aside first, I will send someone to escort you back to Konoha. Reikage simply didn't care about Tsunade. If it weren't for the peace talks now, I would want to take Tsunade directly. Between countries, reputation is very important. Just like in the original book, many countries lost their tailed beasts, suffocated them, tried to hide them, and looked for opportunities to regain their own people. And Zuli from Union Village was kidnapped, and it was a shame. Now that Zuli was taken back by Hideyoshi, I was naturally very satisfied, so he could have an explanation in front of the name of the Kingdom of Thunder and the many ninjas in Union Village. Hideyoshi, you were originally a traitor in my Union Village, but you have done a great job in regaining the power of Renju and planning the battle between the Xian and Shao organizations, and I can remove your identity as a traitor. Let you come back to Union Village and serve as Shengnan, would you like to? Under the surprised eyes of everyone, Hideyoshi shook his head. I just want to live with a wooden man now. It doesn't matter to me whether it is a Junin or not. The Union Shengnan, headed by Shi and Samui, raised their brows and smiled at the teak man. To tell the truth, the Yumu man has big eyes, a proud expression, and has a queen temperament. Belongs to the most beautiful big beauties. Lei Ying snorted coldly. It's up to you, I'm not interested in you falling in love, but now that Union Village is hiring people, and you have contact with the Xian organization, we still know too much about them. Less. Yes, but I don't know much. I will tell you everything. Hideyoshi nodded slightly and agreed. Next, Reikage lifted Hideyoshi's identity as a traitor and declared that the 5 kingdoms of Union Village had successfully recaptured the tailed beast, and sent people to escort Tsunade back to Konoha. Soon after, the Kingdom of Fire also agreed to release the news, saying that Hideyoshi, Tsunade and the Sen organization had nothing to do with them. They were ninjas who went deep behind the enemy and fought bravely. It was the cooperation of the two that exposed the Sen organization to be in the ninja world. For a time, their fame skyrocketed. And on the sparkling sea, among the huge white clouds, is hiding a city. The clouds are shrouded in air, like a fairyland. Gives a sense of majesty and majesty. In the middle is a ring-shaped building with a tall tower, and various houses and towers are located next to it. This is the headquarters of the Sen organization. In front of a huge round table, there are a total of 16 seats, but it is obviously not full at the moment. There are only a few people here, and Feng Yao, who is sitting in the first place, is the first to speak. Recently, the search operations in the 5 major countries have been relatively close. During this period of time, Xian has temporarily stopped overly active activities. I am not worried about Tsunade. She inherited Hokage as only a matter of time, mainly Union Village. There are many people who are loyal to the 4th generation of Reikage Tilda. Orochimaru looked at the personnel information of Union Village with a gloomy face, and laughed. Yaojun, don't worry, we have time to deal with these people one by one. Feng Yao did not respond, and acquiesced to Orochimaru's answer. Union Village also attaches great importance to identity in inheriting Reikage. In Feng Yao's memory, the 5th generation of Reikage is Darui, his guardian of the 4th generation of Reikage, and the only successor of the 3rd generation of Reikage Black Thunder. He is a man who can say boring and sorry. Once the 4th Reikage dies, he will definitely inherit the 5th Reikage. Feng Yao has labeled Darui as a must-kill in his heart. If he can't solve the problem, then he will solve the problem. The next step is Union Village. The old stubborn in this village is very troublesome. It would be great if he could get back the other gods of Zishui. Thinking of this, Feng Yao had another idea of Itachi. It's not easy to grab it by force. Shishui's eyes will definitely be guarded by Itachi, and even if he is in a hurry, he will destroy Zishui's eyes. On the way to thinking, Feng Yao's thoughts changed, and he realized another point. Itachi has one of the biggest weaknesses, that is Sasuke. As long as he uses it a little, he is not afraid that he will not be able to get other gods. Even Sasuke's kaleidoscope can be included in the bag. Now all countries are searching for Sen and Shao organizations, and Sasuke will definitely join them if he wants revenge. Orochimaru, inform Tsunade, I want to know about Sasuke's current news. Feng Yao decided to start collecting eyes first to improve his strength. Oh, is it the survivor of the Uchiha family? Orochimaru was surprised. He planted a spell on Sasuke in Konoha village. At that time, he took a fancy to Sasuke Uchiha's blood and wanted to treat him as himself. But then he followed Feng Yao. Even Zishui's kaleidoscope and Liu Dao Shanren's writing wheel can be studied casually, and Sasuke's Ergoyu has no desire. Feng Yao nodded lightly. Yes, don't underestimate him. Tell me the news as soon as possible, others should go to rest first. Chapter 112-Orochimaru's Laboratory. The white clouds rolled and stirred in the sky. A white lion made a low-pitched sound, and its stout limbs stepped on the clouds and crashed. This lion was covered in snow, and the strange blue lines looked so natural. A huge thunder and lightning flashed on its body, and it was surprising that there were two people sitting on the lion's back. There was a girl in the back, grabbing the corner of the clothes of the person in front with her slender hands, as if she was afraid of falling. Master Feng Yao, this psychic beast is really powerful. It can walk in the air, and it can also make Lei Dun and Feng Dun. Only you, Master Feng Yao, can conquer such a psychic beast. The lion's back praised. It's called Bai Zi, and this is also the ability it has just mastered. It can use Feng Dun to control its own body movement. Its growth is faster than I thought. How is it? Do you like it? Feng Yao said slowly. I like it, but compared to... Of course I like it more. The wind. Taiyu also said that he stuttered and his voice became smaller and smaller. Feng Yao smiled silently and said softly, just like it, I plan to let it protect you in the future, and after you get acquainted with it, I have a task for you to carry out. Bai Zi has transitioned from infancy to growth. This speed can be said to be very fast. It only took less than 2 months, and he has mastered the power of the wind attribute, and his strength has greatly increased. But it's useless to stay by Feng Yao's side, and Bai Zi, who can hurt Feng Yao, certainly can't help, so I plan to leave it to Tayuya to protect her by the way. Hearing that Feng Yao was going to give Bai Zi to himself, Duo Yu also waved his hands in a panic and said, No, how can I ask your psychic beast to protect me? No matter what kind of task you assign, I will do it all. Take my life, Lord Feng Yao, please don't say such words, please. In her eyes, Feng Yao is the person she admires, and she is loyal to her, so she doesn't need to use the word, please, for her to complete the task. Feng Yao turned around, fondly stroked Tayuya's hair, and chuckled. Don't worry, Bai Zi is also a part of the mission, and don't hesitate to say that you will risk your life. I want you to live. Do you understand? Follow, as long as this is your order. I will try my best to live, Master Feng Yao. Taiyu also twisted his body shyly, but he didn't want to leave Feng Yao. Range of the palm. I believe in you very much, but before that, you need an eye transplant. Originally, this matter was made by Do, but after the Battle of Yinyan Village, he was sent to the Kingdom of Thunder by Feng Yao, so the transplant of the eyes was delayed. At present, only Orochimaru can do it. Feng Yao ordered Bai Zi to fall in the annex of Orochimaru's laboratory. The laboratory has been built, which is much better than the one before Orochimaru. The lights are bright and all the experimental equipment is brand new. But it also spent a lot of money. According to Orochimaru's report, the funds of the Xian organization have almost bottomed out. The laboratory is divided into 2 parts, one for daily research on Orochimaru, and the other for storing various precious experimental subjects. Enter the research room. Orochimaru is tying Feiwawada to the experimental bench for research, cutting out a small sample from time to time, causing a scream. He is also the special Shirai who was kidnapped by Feng Yao from Obito. Feng Yao is not afraid that the coordinates of the floating city will be leaked out. Because the surrounding of the floating city has been arranged by Orochimaru to prevent being perceived by the enchantment and illusion, even if you stand under the floating city and look up, there will only be nothing. Seeing Feng Yao come in, Orochimaru stopped his work. Yao-kun. Why did you come to me today, but there is no news from Tsunade yet? Orochimaru, who thought it was for Sasuke's intelligence, reported the situation of Konoha for the first time. Fei, who was tied up on the experimental bench, suddenly shouted, "You lied to me. Tell me what it means, and I'll come down and punch you this shit." Feng Yao's face was expressionless, so he wouldn't be so bored to explain to Fei what it meant. At best, this Baiju has a little research value, and he can be said to be a man of Madara, and he can just kill it after using it. At this moment, a gentle voice sounded, "Master Feng Yao, this white inferior creature is so rude to you, can I kill him directly?" After Tayuya finished speaking, he raised his flute very naturally, as if it was something that should be done. Fei felt the strong killing intent, shivered all over, and was so frightened that he closed his mouth that had been talking a lot. Feng Yao hurriedly stopped and said, "That's not necessary, he still has some research value on Orochimaru, and he will be casual when the research is over." Fei's ability to rely on others to improve his combat effectiveness and to nullify the curse mark is still worth exploring. "Okay, then I'll come and trouble Master Orochimaru." Taiyu also put away his flute and said stubbornly. Seeing this, he didn't intend to let Fei go, and then Feng Yao told Orochimaru why he came here. "It turns out that there is no problem. How about using the writing wheel eye in Danzang's arm? There is still a lot of stock." Orochimaru thought about it and suggested. Although the writing wheel eye is not comparable to the level of the kaleidoscope and the reincarnation eye, it is already very precious compared to others. Feng Yao pondered for a moment. Transplanting Sharingan is nothing, it's just Orochimaru. I wonder if you have the ability to make Sharingan evolve into a kaleidoscope. Hiss. Orochimaru sucked in a breath, followed by the frenzy of a scientist. Yao-kun, your idea is really strange. In fact, it can be realized in theory. The reason why Sharingan evolves is because of the emotional fluctuations of the Uchiha people. A special chakra will flow out and act on the optic nerve. Quote. This is what Orochimaru figured out by himself from the Forbidden Book of Konoha and from his research on Sharingan. He now has a complete grasp of Sharonan and intercolumnar cells. Duoyu also stood obediently and stood aside. Although she couldn't understand what the two were saying, she knew that she should not interrupt at this time. Feng Yao shook his head and said seriously, "I'm not talking about theory, I want it to be completely feasible in practice. Can you do this?" This is another way for Sasuke to make rapid progress in writing round eyes, a scientific method. If you can master it, you can also use it on your own people later. Orochimaru's eyes flashed, but then he bowed his head regretfully. Actually, there is nothing wrong with the current technology and materials, but I don't have any samples for the experiment. If I can catch 1 or 2 Uchiha clansmen, it will greatly speed up my progress, but... Orochimaru didn't go on. What he wanted to say should be, but unfortunately, Uchiha has been exterminated. Chapter 113-Resurrection Uchiha. Feng Yao is also very clear about this. He can only sigh and say, "I'm thinking of a way. You prepare first, and help Duoyu also transplant the 3-go jade writing wheel eye." Orochimaru emptied the experimental bench, locked Fei again, put on a mask and said to Tayuya, "Lie here, it will be over soon, you won't even have the slightest pain if you have Yaojun's cells." End exclusion. Quote. After saying that, he turned around and walked out. After a while, he came in with a green container in his arms. There were several writing wheel eyes stored in it. Orochimaru took out one of the writing wheel eyes and started the transplant. When Feng Yao heard the word cell, he faintly thought of something. I thought to myself, if there is no Uchiha clan, then can't I create or resurrect some Uchiha clan? Of his samsara eye, the reincarnation innate technique and the artifact, natural teeth. The former is the highest level resurrection ninjutsu in the Naruto world, but the longer the death of the object that needs to be resurrected and the more people who are resurrected, the more chakra is consumed, and this ninjutsu needs to be at the cost of life. Just when Feng Yao was about to ask something in his heart, the voice of the system came. This system knows what you want to ask. Don't worry, the inherent side effects of reincarnation are not valid for you, and you don't need to sacrifice your life. You really know me, but I don't plan to use samsara's life completely. Feng Yao responded in his heart. Although it is feasible to use reincarnation, it will consume a lot of chakra. And although Orochimaru himself said that it is 1 or 2, the number of times required to do the experiment is more than 100 times. Born Tooth, one of the rewards of the system, this knife is called Knife of the Otherworld, and it is also an artifact that can resurrect the dead. It does not require chakra, it is equal to the enhanced version of reincarnation, and there is no other side effect. But Feng Yao has never used it, because there has been no death in the entire, immortal, organization, and Feng Yao doesn't care about other people's death at all, and it is not used anymore, so this knife has been sealed in dust. Feng Yao took the natural tooth out of his body, and the blue-white light shone in the laboratory again. Dashuin's eyes were almost blinded after he had been transplanted with Sheratunyan. He forced his eyes open against the strong light to complete the last step of the transplantation and heaved a sigh of relief. Call. Yaojun, what are you planning to do? Do you think I'm not bright enough? I almost lost my mind just now. Orochimaru glanced at Feng Yao with resentment. The light of natural teeth gradually disappeared, and Feng Yao could only smile bitterly. This was the case every time. This seemed to be the special effect of its appearance. On the side, Duoyu also touched the refilled right eye, and after slowly opening it, the 3-hook jade inside was constantly turning. She jumped off the test bench and bowed slightly. Thank you, Lord Feng Yao, I won't let this eye be lost from my hand. Don't think about that, it's not your fault, you should go down and rest first. Feng Yaozhang sent Yuya out of the laboratory. After returning, he said to Orochimaru with a serious face, Orochimaru, I have already thought of a way to help you find enough experimental subjects. You are going to use the technique of reincarnation. Feng Yao also did not explain to Orochimaru in detail, but Orochimaru has moved, and he believes in Feng Yao's ability. There are 3 necessary conditions for the reincarnation of the Dirty Land. A certain amount of the body of the deceased, the body and soul of the living must exist in the pure land of bliss. All of these can be achieved. A certain body of the deceased can be used as a writing wheel. There is no shortage of Orochimaru laboratories for the body of the living. Of course, all the souls of Uchiha also exist in the Pure Land, and no one will deliberately seal it. Soon, Orochimaru brought a few experimental products, which seemed to have a faint appearance between the columns, and carefully felt that there were almost indeed a large number of intercolumnar cells. Hey, what's up, Yaojun? These are the results of my experiments. The existence of Baiju inspired me. These are clones, and each has a large number of intercolumnar cells, but unlike Baiju was made by the outsider golems, and they were made by relying on Yaojun's cells. Orochimaru talked about his experimental results meticulously. Although these clones don't have much power for the time being, but this kind of experiment has just started after all. As long as it takes time to perfect it, it will definitely become a big boost in the future. Then let's start directly. You still use the reincarnation technique of dirty soil. I want you to reincarnate Uchiha's clan. Feng Yao sat aside. He could no longer use dirty soil reincarnation to channel, so he could only give it to Orochi. Pill. Orochimaru wondered in his heart. Reincarnation of dirty soil. Although this is also a kind of resurrection, but it can't be used for research at all, my mind is completely filled with dust. However, he kept his hands and acted according to Feng Yao's orders. He believed that Feng Yao must have his deep meaning in doing so. A series of black runes were drawn, and there were 3 places for offering sacrifices in the middle, which were covered with dust. Orochimaru placed the 3 clones on the dusty places, and threw out the writing wheel at the same time. Make a seal with your hands, Yin, Si, Shu, Chen, and then put your hands together. Orochimaru slammed into the ground with a palm, and said softly, the art of reincarnation in dirty soil. The 3 clones suddenly struggled and screamed, and then they were covered in dust, and completely different people appeared from inside. Uchiha's clansmen, they wear gray ninja uniforms, with a fan that manipulates flames printed on the back, which is the family emblem of the Uchiha family. The resurrected Uchiha looked at his body and surroundings, and confirmed that this was not Konoha village. Where is this place? We weren't given by that bastard Itachi. I'm dead too, but is this resurrected now? Who are the 3 of you, Itachi? Brother, I didn't expect that I would still see you. These Uchiha clansmen were between 15 and 20 years old, and their hatred for Itachi was revealed in their words. After all, they all died at the hands of each other during their lifetimes, so it is natural to complain. Feng Yao took out the natural tooth. He didn't know whether the natural tooth could revive it in such a situation. If not, then he could only suffer from a disadvantage and use the outlandish reincarnation birth technique. Holding the natural teeth, this time, there was something else in Feng Yao's eyes, some black little ghosts that looked like dwarfs, entangled in the soul of the reincarnated soil. Is this the so-called messenger of the underworld? You can see and attack them by holding the natural teeth. If they die, will the people who have been reincarnated by the filth will be completely resurrected? Thinking of this, Feng Yao pulled out his natural teeth and slashed towards one of Uchiha's clansmen. Chapter 114 _ You are annoying, lie down for me. The opponent's body wants to back away due to the instinctive reaction of fighting. Orochimaru snorted coldly, and the one-handed seal strengthened the control. The body of the reincarnation of the dirty earth immediately settled in place, and Feng Yao slashed the opponent's body with a strong knife. Clang! It seemed to make a sound of something slashing, but there was no wound on this Uchiha's body. Only in Feng Yao's eyes, the entangled messenger of the underworld had died. Then this Uchiha emitted bursts of white smoke in the eyes of everyone in disbelief. The cracks in the body began to disappear, and the eyes in the reincarnation state of the dirt began to change into normal black pupils. Everyone almost stared out their eyes, and a Uchiha clan who had long since died was truly resurrected in front of their eyes. It was the kind of flesh and blood. The resurrected Uchiha was also unbelievable. He put his hand on his chest and felt his heartbeat and body temperature. He was extremely sure that he was resurrected. Orochimaru trembled with excitement. He held the blade of natural teeth, and gently stroked it, as if he was stroking the most beautiful woman in the world. Immediately, he raised his head suddenly, and asked in a hurried voice, This, what kind of knife is this? Yaojun, where did you find it? This method of resurrection can also belong to another form of immortality, and it can still maintain its original body. Feng Yao raised his brows. Why, do you want one too? It's a pity that there is only one knife in the world. It's called Tianshengya. Now you have an experimental body. Orochimaru nodded again and said excitedly, Yes, I can guarantee that it won't take long for me to develop a way to accelerate Uchiha to open the kaleidoscope. At this time, the resurrected Uchiha also heard that the reason why he wanted to resurrect himself was because of the lack of experiments. This is undoubtedly a shame for the glorious Uchiha clan in the past. He immediately turned gloomy and snorted coldly. It turns out that I was resurrected for the writing wheel of our Uchiha clan. Stop daydreaming, our Uchiha clan will not be arbitrarily controlled by others. Wait for you to be resolved. I'm going to kill Itachi to avenge my clan. After he finished speaking, his hands began to seal, and he wanted to defeat Feng Yao and the two of them. He was taking Tianshengya and resurrecting his two clansmen, and then went to Itachi for revenge. Fire escape how fireball technique. After gathering in the throat, it bulged its mouth high, and then spewed a huge fireball at Feng Yao from its mouth. With this move, I am afraid that the laboratory that was finally built will be destroyed, so Feng Yao's left eye turned slightly. God! As soon as the fireball was ejected from the mouth, it began to twist abnormally, and was finally sucked into the vortex of divine power. Seeing that the fireball was twisted and absorbed, the resurrected Uchiha people were also surprised. What is this? If that's the case, then use that technique, fire. You're annoying. Lie down for me. Before he finished speaking, Feng Yao was already close to his body, and punched him in the stomach, and his internal organs were strongly impacted. The opponent immediately curled up like a shrimp. He was no longer reincarnated from the dirt, and this punch made him terribly painful. Feng Yao stepped on his face and said disdainfully, "It's too much for you to seek revenge on Itachi just because of your rubbish. It's nothing more than being killed again. Your Uchiha clan is trying to betray because of your boring power. But was betrayed by your own clan. Your beloved must have also been killed by Itachi. You can't protect it, it's ridiculous." Uchiha on the ground trembled with anger when he heard this, as if he was thinking of some painful memory. His parents both died because of a mission, and he and his younger brother depended on each other in the Uchiha family. From that day on, they decided that they must protect each other, and the elders in the clan took care of them like parents. After feeling the unfair treatment faced by the Uchiha clan, he was very much in favor of the clan's coup d'état. But that night, it was all destroyed by one man, Itachi. Witnessed that Itachi killed the elders who took care of them, killed himself, and killed his younger brother. But unfortunately, he couldn't do anything. He could only look at his brother's body on the cold ground, waiting for his own death. Intense hatred replaced his sanity. Very good. Continue to be angry and feel pain for your incompetence. Feng Yao sneered in his heart. Uchiha needs enough huge negative emotions to produce special chakra, and this chakra is the key. Brother. At this time, the youngest Uchiha clansman next to him suddenly shouted, rushed over, and hugged Uchiha who fell to the ground. The two were brothers. Younger brother burst into tears and his voice was full of grief. Don't do this, you have done your best, don't blame yourself, I'm already very happy to be protected by my brother before I die. Uchiha's body on the ground stopped shaking, and his brother's voice made him regain a sense of reason. Feng Yao's face was expressionless. From the very beginning, he noticed that there were a pair of brothers among these three people, and that Orochimaru didn't let Orochimaru bind their personalities when he was reincarnated. This is more useful and convenient to find the secret to quickly open the kaleidoscope. Because, nothing is more painful for the Uchiha family than witnessing the death of a loved one. Iron Nugget Heavy Step Wolf. Before the younger brother could react, Feng Yao's fist had already shattered his head. Do not. When the elder brother lying on the ground saw that his younger brother was killed, his eyes were split, and he let out a desolate roar. Feng Yao's eyes can see that this time, a special kind of chakra flashed in the other's mind, but it's not much. After a few times, there must be no problem. This younger brother can still be resurrected if he is in a reincarnated state. Feng Yao was ecstatic in his heart, turned his head and said excitedly, Orochimaru, have you noticed it just now? Extract and analyze the chakra in his mind for me. No matter what method you use, give me the way to open the kaleidoscope in advance as soon as possible. Orochimaru bowed his head respectfully. As you wish, Yaojun. Then, this knife, can you lend it to me first? I want to study it. The next moment, Xianju was shoved into Orochimaru's hand, and Feng Yao walked out of the laboratory without turning his head, leaving only a voice echoing. Remember to finish the experiment and give it back to me. Orochimaru waited for Feng Yao to completely leave before raising his head, then picked up Xianju, and looked coldly at the Uchiha tribe in front of him. Like Feng Yao, he is a person who will do anything to achieve his goals, so Feng Yao can rest assured that he will give him a lot of things to complete. Let's get started. In the days that followed, screams and curses were often heard from Orochimaru's laboratory. Chapter 115_Ferret News. Konoha Village. The tree, rooted in the mountain soil, stretches its green hands to the sky. The thick trunks looked at each other from a distance. The lush foliage is staggered in midair. Surrounded by trees, there are wooden houses, revealing a solid taste. People come and go in the village, there are ninjas patrolling, there are comrades chatting with each other, and there are children fighting. In the future, I will become Hokage and destroy all the bad guys in the Sen organization. You lie, you haven't graduated yet. I want to become a great ninja like Tsunade-sama. It's me, it's me. After the truce of the agreement, Konoha village finally got a respite. Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas, not only returned to Konoha, but was also commended by the daimyo of the Kingdom of Fire for his brave performance and contribution to the fight against the Sen organization. On the top balcony of Naruto Hall, a man wearing a gray ninja suit with a fan of flames on his back and flying black hair stood here, overlooking the scene of Konoha. I don't know what he thought, and there seemed to be a flash of sadness. At this moment, a magnetic voice sounded. So you're being lazy here, Sasuke. Kakashi was wearing a Hokage hat, white clothes, and 2 lunch boxes in his hand. He walked to Sasuke's side and pulled Sasuke, who had not had time to be sad, to sit down. Put one of the lunch boxes into the assistant, Hora, although the war is temporarily stopped. Don't let up as the guard of Hokage, everyone in the village trusts you very much. Kakashi took off his Hokage hat with a smile. Although he couldn't see the expression under the mask, he should be smiling warmly at the moment. Sasuke's eyes seemed to brighten, and then he realized something, and turned his head to the side arrogantly. HMPH. I'm not being lazy, I'm talking. I didn't ask you to help me bring my lunch, Muyu rice balls. Quote. Go, go, go. There is the fragrance of wild grass and wild flowers in the air, and the summer wind is blowing warmly. On this balcony, a pair of master and apprentice are silently eating the bento in their hands. A warm family atmosphere permeates this small space. I'm really exhausted. After I became Hokage, I didn't even have to watch Intimacy Paradise. Kakashi threw away the bento in his hand, wiped his mouth lazily, and sighed deeply. Sasuke turned his head and said with a look of contempt, What the hell are you thinking about, Hokage, all day long? It's really unreliable. He. Kakashi laughed and nodded. When the 5 major countries worked together to eliminate the 2 organizations, Xian and Shao, then I will be ready to step down and lie at home honestly and enjoy the happiness. Quote. Sasuke's tone became serious when he heard this, but I haven't received any news about these 2 organizations these days. The 5 major countries are doing their best to investigate suspicious persons within their borders, but they seem to have disappeared. Sasuke is very concerned about the news of the Shao organization. After all, there is his elder brother Itachi. Now every country is responsible for hunting down the rebels in their own ninja village. He never wants Itachi to die in the hands of others. Kakashi also put away his lazy expression, and said solemnly, No matter where they hide, we must find out. Although Xian and Shao were exposed by Tsunade, most of them were exposed. It's all my Konoha's betrayal. If there is no result for a long time, other countries will point their finger at Konoha again. When talking about rebellion, Kakashi glanced at Sasuke from the corner of his eye. He knew what Itachi had done, and he knew that his disciple had to take revenge. I will never let those rebels go. One day I will kill Itachi personally. Sasuke's face was cold, and a flash of coldness flashed in his eyes. Kakashi smiled wryly, then stood up and patted Sasuke on the shoulder. Don't forget, we're still here, it's not your responsibility alone. Sasuke's body trembled, and finally nodded. Since following Kakashi as his guard, he has embarked on a different path than before, a path of trusting his own companions. The 2 returned to the Hokage Hall together. and a middle-aged man with white hair had been waiting for them for a long time. Seeing Kakashi's return, Jiraiya warmly went up to say hello. Yo, it's still very leisurely to be a Hokage, and there's still time to go out for a walk, 6th generation. Master Jiraiya, don't make fun of me, I just went out for a meal, and Naruto didn't follow you. Kakashi said helplessly as he sat on the seat of Hokage. Ah, this kid is still learning immortality at Miaomu Mountain, but now that it's time for dinner, I'll run out first, ha ha ha. Jiraiya also couldn't bear to think of Naruto's expression eating Meowmushin's food. Live out laughing. Unlike the original, the current Hokage time is in a time of war, when Union and Konoha were at war. Jiraiya also took Naruto to fight on the front line, and encountered many dangers. In order to quickly improve Naruto's strength, Jiraiya also decided to send him to Miaomu Mountain to study the magic of immortality. You really? Kakashi held his forehead lightly with his right hand, and seemed to have a headache, but he was very happy in his heart. Jiraiya-sama finally recovered, and I really deserve to have them in Hokage like me. A lot of peace of mind. Well, it's not entirely to avoid Meowmushin's lunch. Zillai also suddenly became serious, and the conversation changed. My intelligence channel came to the news and discovered the whereabouts of the Shao organization, and the other party should it's Itachi. Sasuke raised his head suddenly as if electrocuted, his dark pupils staring at Jiraiya. You said there was news of Itachi, where is he? Sasuke rushed forward to grab Jiraiya, his face full of shock. Calm down, Sasuke, isn't Mr. Jiraiya here to tell us, forget what I just said. Kakashi immediately stopped Sasuke's behavior. Sasuke woke up like a dream and lowered his head. I'm sorry, Lord Jiraiya, Well, it doesn't matter, when Naruto hears the news of Fengyao, he will often be like you. Zillai also sighed deeply, thinking of Naruto who practiced desperately to chase Fengyao. Lord Jiraiya, please continue to speak. Yesterday, someone said that a kaleidoscope writing wheel was found in the southeast corner of the country of fire, and he was wearing a black fire cloud suit organized by Shao. It seemed that he was planning something. After all, this is my Konoha's responsibility. Now it has been discovered that every village in the rebellion must be cleared. This is a treaty between the 5 powers to negotiate an armistice. Kakashi pondered for a moment, then looked at Sasuke with his fists clenched next to him. I am afraid that even if he did not agree, Sasuke would not hesitate to keep up with the departing troops. In the end, Kakashi's eyes changed from complicated to firm, and he chose to believe in his own disciple. Sasuke, I'll leave this to you. Bring 5 teams and prepare to leave immediately. Be sure to complete the mission. Come back alive. Chapter 116 Konoha Team, Go. Sasuke showed a confident smile, put one hand on his waist, and pointed his thumb to himself. Hey, don't worry, I will never fail with the glory of the Hokage guards and the Uchiha clan. Sasuke didn't waste the time he spent with Kakashi, and he was always absorbing the knowledge that Kakashi taught him. Now even with Konoha's full strength, it is difficult to defeat Sasuke. With the cooperation of the 5 squads, Sasuke thinks that there is no problem in killing Itachi. It's good to have confidence, but don't be careless, pick 5 teams yourself, and start as soon as possible. If it's too late, Itachi might leave there. Kakashi stood up and patted Sasuke on the shoulder. Whoosh! Sasuke jumped out of the window directly, and soon disappeared. Kakashi could only stand at the window and watch. Hey, 6th generation, are you really at ease to let him go? Even if he has followed you for so long, he hasn't grown up to be a match for Itachi. Jiraiya stood by Kakashi's side. Kakashi suddenly smiled. So this is going to trouble you, Lord Jiraiya. I want you to protect Sasuke and go with him. Well, even if you don't say so, I'm going to follow up and take a look. Shao, the purpose of the sudden appearance still needs to be investigated. Zillai did not shirk, and agreed. At night, more than a dozen figures set out from Konoha village to the location where Itachi appeared. In a small hotel made of wood. A young man wearing a white hat covered his entire face, with purple nail polish on his hands, a ring with the word, Zu, representing, Suzaku, on the ring finger of his right hand, and wearing a, Shao, organization. Now the 5 major countries are so strict about the search of, Shao, but Itachi has no intention of hiding himself at all. Itachi finished eating the barbecue in front of him and drank another cup of barley tea, and then he paid the bill and walked out. The road between the mountains was eerily quiet, not even the sound of birds. Itachi walked some distance, then suddenly turned his head to the air and said, "It's almost time for you to start. I still have things to do next, so I can't let it go. You are making trouble." At the end of the sentence, Itachi's tone was extremely cold. The ninjas in the dark knew that they had been exposed, and there was no point in hiding, and they jumped out one after another. "You are Itachi. You are really sharp." From the forehead guards on their heads, they are all ninjas from small countries, such as Takian village and Shuangyan village. In addition to the troops of the 5 major villages, they also issued bounties for encircling and suppressing, Xian, and, Shao. There is a bounty. Itachi is as high as 100 million taels of silver, which is almost enough for a small country to spend a year, mainly because Itachi is the rebellion that destroyed the Uchiha family. High. And Feng Yao's bounty is as high as 500 million. It can be said that the country of fire has made a lot of money, and as long as you kill Feng Yao, you can also get the canonization of the name. None of the group of ninjas took the lead, and they all took precautions against ninjas from other countries. Let's do it together first. Who can get Itachi's body to receive the reward, then it's up to each one's ability. A Takian village ninja suggested. Okay, the information says Itachi is good at illusion, everyone should be careful about his Sharingan. I can't wait, come on. Dare to come around and kill Itachi is naturally not an ordinary trash fish, these are the elites in those countries. Itachi stood still, but the people around him had already attacked first. Water escape water chaos. Water escape water fang bomb. Several ninjas from Takian village matched the 2 ninjutsu with each other. First, the waterfall-like water flowed out of the mouth to rush towards Itachi, and then the water blocks produced in the water to inflict physical damage. Adding a spin to the compressed water increases the lethality. It can be seen that these people have cooperated for many years, and they all use water ninjutsu. Countless water blocks are like bullets, surrounding the Itachi, attacking like raindrops. There is no room to escape at all. Aren't you hiding? Well, I'll just slap you into a sieve. Takian village's ninja's eyes showed a ruthless look, and he pushed his ninjutsu even harder. But what he didn't expect was that Itachi rushed straight forward, as if the water bomb that compressed and rotated did not exist. Puff, puff. The water bomb hit Itachi without the slightest effect, and it didn't even have the effect of blocking. The ninjas of Takian village were anxious when they saw Itachi rushing over. Several people looked at each other, and then made a seal together, hitting chakra in the throat. Water escape water array. A large amount of columnar water blocked Itachi's path. Itachi crossed his arms and was forcibly stopped by the water column. Itachi frowned. These people have the same understanding, and the teamwork is very good. At this time, the ninjas from Shuangyan village in the back also acted, and when Itachi resisted the current, they stood behind Itachi. Wind escape Luo net. The chakra is injected into the wind to form a large area of net wind, which is extremely destructive. Itachi opened his arms, and then the impact of the water jumped backwards, not only dodging the wind escape and the snare, but also the water column directly impacted the body of the ninja in frost-hidden village. The huge impact made the opponent turn several somersaults in a row. When he stopped and wanted to slow down, a violent whistling sound filled his ears. A huge sense of crisis filled his heart instantly. No, escape, otherwise I'll die. Just as this thought came to his mind, Itachi crushed his throat with one hand. Severe pain drowned out this Shuang Ren's mind. He roared vaguely, his face was already twisted. Boom! Itachi exerted his strength, and Shuangren's head was crushed like a watermelon. Crimson blood stained on the fire cloud suit of the Xiao organization. Itachi's mood did not fluctuate. You are too weak, but at least you can pass on my message. This is your only value, come over. Bastard. Seeing the sacrifice of his teammates, the ninjas of Shuangyan village were stunned, and their anger could not be suppressed. You killed him. I want you to pay for your life. The remaining frost-hidden ninjas raised their umbrella-shaped ninja gear, shouted, and rushed frantically. Wind escape tornado hurricane. A super tornado appears to carry out a wrapping attack on Itachi. Itachi smiled coldly, turned his body flexibly with his feet, stretched his arms, bypassed the tornado, and brushed past Shuangyan like a dance. A trace of blood slowly appeared from the neck of the frosty ninja, and then the blood spurted violently, and the head and body were separated. Damn it, is it an illusion? You gave Shuangyan's join-in so quickly. The leader of the Takian village was stunned. But the next moment, Itachi had come behind him. Captain, be careful. Next to him, the Takigakushi ninja immediately stood in front of his captain. Itachi grabbed the neck of the ninja standing in front of him and made a crackling sound. This ninja, who was trying to give his companions a chance, was pinched to pieces. You bastard! I fought with you. The leader of the Takian village team was so angry that he pulled out the ninja's sword in his hand and slashed, but how could there be a chance at such a close distance? Boom! With a loud noise, the color of the fire cloud suit on Itachi became darker. Strange, monster, don't kill me. The last surviving Takigakushi ran out like crazy. Itachi did not pursue him, he wanted the other party to spread the news. Then looking in Konoha's direction, there was some expectation in his tone. Sasuke, come quickly, I'm a little impatient waiting. Chapter 117-Enemy Attack. The rain was pouring down. The sky is covered with dark clouds, and the mountains in the distance stretch and melt into a black color. Click. The sky suddenly lit up, and a bolt of lightning cut through the sky like a silver snake before disappearing suddenly. Then there was a fleeting light, and a dozen ninjas could be seen walking through the woods. Whoosh! We're almost there, it's raining now, why don't we all take a rest first? Sasuke in front of him spoke first. He jumped to a tree, stopped, and turned to the other Konoha ninjas. Asuma took a big puff of cigarette and said with relief, well, it might be a hard fight to get there. Sasuke, you are very thoughtful. The matter of Itachi is known to almost everyone in Konoha. To be honest, Kakashi ordered Sasuke to lead the team, but Asuma was still very worried. Hatred will make people lose their minds. But looking at Sasuke now, even if the enemy is already in front of him, he can still care about his companions. When all the teams heard that they could rest, they stumbled and found a tree to rest. Huh, I'm exhausted, I've been driving all night. Still be careful, after all, you are on a mission, and the perceptive ninja remembers to be vigilant. Lord Sasuke is so handsome. As expected of Lord Hokage's bodyguard, he is strong, handsome, and caring about people. There were constant discussions in the team. On a rainy day, the road was a little muddy, and the trees were a little slippery, so the road after that must not be very easy to walk. A breeze blew, raindrops fell on Sasuke's shoulders, and a chill hit. Sasuke recalled the night he was killed by Itachi, and snorted inwardly, after today, Uchiha will never have the shame of you again. Thinking of this, Sasuke clenched his fists again, his nails digging deep into his flesh. At this time, a female ninja with light yellow hair and a ponytail, with one eye slightly covered, jumped to Sasuke's side. She took a box of bento, handed it to Sasuke, and said a little bit, then, Sasuke, this is what I made by myself, can you help me taste it? Ino's eyes were full of anticipation, and he handed over the bento in his hand. The clenched fist loosened, Sasuke hesitated for a while, but took it over and responded lightly, thank you. Ino's body trembled slightly, and he jumped back to the tree with a blushing face, but his heart was ecstatic. Ha ha ha, Sakura, Wait, I'm going to take the opportunity to take Sasuke's mission together. You just wait for me in Sasuke's happy bar. Because Tsunade was captured and brainwashed by Feng Yao several times, Sakura also failed to have the opportunity to become Tsunade's apprentice. Instead, he followed Hong and learned illusion, and this time he was not among the team besieging Itachi. At this time, a situation occurred. The ninja in charge of vigilance suddenly said, "Everyone be careful, there is a ninja running in this direction not far away." Everyone stood up for the first time, and Asuma and Sasuke came to him together. The person in charge of vigilance is a member of the Hyuga family. Bayan is good at reconnaissance, and he can easily see through things 1 kilometer away. Sasuke said in a deep voice, "How about it, is it Itachi?" No, it seems to be a ninja from Takian village." The vigilant Hinata clansman reported truthfully. "Taki hidden village. Did you come here because of the news of Itachi?" Sasuke frowned, and raised his chin with one hand, thinking. The ninja world is indeed hunting down the Xian and Shao organizations now, and it is reasonable for the people in Takian village to know that Itachi's news was sent. At this time, Asuma made a suggestion. It's better to send someone to ask about the situation first, understand the purpose of the other party, and then decide what to do next. Asuma was still very prestigious in all the squads, and everyone agreed immediately. And this Takian village ninja was the one who was let go by Itachi. He was in a trance, as if he had been hit a lot by the death of his companion, so he walked aimlessly, saliva flowing from the corner of his mouth. Accidentally, he fell forward, buried his entire face in the ground, and his mouth was stuffed with damp soil. Feeling his embarrassed appearance, he finally cried out at this moment, the rain and tears mixed with the soil, making a mess on his face. "I'm sorry, Captain. I'm useless. I'm sorry for you. Damn Itachi." The ninja of Takian village lay on the ground and choked. But after he raised his head, a pair of black ninja shoes appeared in front of him. Looking up, it was a cold young man. "You just said Itachi, right? Tell me, where is he?" Of course, the young man who asked was Sasuke. The Takian village ninja was stunned for a moment, and then saw Konoha's forehead suddenly burst into anger. With a flick of his arm, he took out a shuriken and threw it at Sasuke. Whoosh, whoosh. Clang, clang. When the shuriken flew out, it was blocked by Sasuke's sword, and he put the sword on the opponent's neck at the same time. Unexpectedly, this time, the Takian village ninja became hard-hearted, and he shouted, "Kill. You kill me. Anyway, I don't want to live anymore, you Konoha, every good thing." Asuma and others also appeared together. After all, seeing the ninjas in Takian village started, they couldn't watch from the side. "Konoha and Takigaki never have any grudges. We won't kill you, but why did you attack us, and did you meet Itachi?" Asuma was still more mature, and a few words stabilized the other party's emotions a little, but the Takian village ninja was still cynical. "No hatred. You Konoha's rebellious Itachi killed my captain, my companion. What kind of hatred is this? It's all your Konoha's lax care. Killed my companion." Weak people always like to find reasons to shirk their responsibilities, or to blame others, in order to seek inner peace. This is how this person is now. He attributed the death of his companion to Konoha, and left himself clean. The arrival of Sasuke and others allowed him to finally escape in a grand manner. Asuma frowned habitually. He could see the mind of this Takigakushi ninja and was a little unhappy, but he could only ask patiently. "We're here to hunt him down this time. Can you tell us what to do? We'll avenge your comrade's revenge for you." The Takigakura ninja seemed to have heard something ridiculous. "Ha ha, it's just you. There are so many people. That guy tore my captain in half in front of my face. 5 people, they didn't last for even 2 minutes." In the end, there was a look of fear in his eyes again. Sasuke couldn't listen anymore. He directly picked up the other's collar. Roaring, "Don't talk nonsense here. If your companion dies, you will find a way to become stronger, and then go for revenge. What's the use of being decadent here? Tell me where Itachi is. Sasuke's explosive drink seemed to wake up this tacky shinobi with a blow to the head. He lowered his head in silence, then stretched out his finger and pointed to a hillside not far away. Boom! A black figure hit the ground. The gloomy voice spread to everyone's ears. Don't bother, I'm already here. Sasuke, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Chapter 118 You are not a weasel. The impact of the landing splashed the muddy water on the ground everywhere, but everyone was in no mood to wipe it because the enemy was already standing opposite. Itachi wears a white bamboo hat on his head, and the tall, Shao, organization's Huion suit collar hides his appearance, but the kaleidoscope flashing eyes in his eyes convince everyone in Konoha that the other party is Itachi. When Takigakushi saw the person coming, he was so frightened that he broke away. He quickly pulled away from the crowd and roared in horror. It's Itachi, he's here. Run, don't stop me, you guys. Asuma didn't dare to pull Sasuke back quickly, and at the same time turned around and shouted to the rest of the team, everyone is on alert. Formation number 1. Quote. The three of them formed a triangle, staring intently at Itachi. On the way, they have already exchanged with each other how to fight Itachi. Although Itachi is good at illusion, but as long as there is a companion next to him to help, when one person is in the spell, he can break the flow of chakra through others. Ha ha ha, Itachi seemed very happy to see Sasuke. He covered his eyes with one hand and said excitedly. Sasuke, as soon as you heard my news, you couldn't help but want to rush over and kill me. Now, let me see how far your eyes can see. After speaking, a huge chakra burst out, oppressing everyone. Humph! Asuma held Feiyin in front of him, and said in a low voice, Itachi, I didn't expect you to have fallen to this level. I am under the order of the 6th Hokage to kill you, the Konoha traitor. Itachi slowly turned his head to Asuma, his tone completely different from the excitement just now. Instead, it was surprisingly calm. Asuma, don't take yourself too seriously. The name of guarding the 12 ninjas is worthless to me. I want to kill you as easy as the palm of your hand. You bastard, how dare you insult Teacher Asuma. I will never forgive you. The plump Chu Doujinji stood up and refuted Itachi angrily. Shikamaru took a step forward and dragged him back, scolding, Idiot, don't mess around, the other party is an S-rank betrayal, and everything follows the arrangements of Asuma-sensei and Sasuke. Dinji struggled away from Shikamaru, not rushing forward, but still stared at Itachi angrily. Asuma looked at her lovely disciple and smiled inwardly. Then he turned his head and said to Itachi, I'm really not a powerful guy. Guarding the 12 ninjas is just a code name, but I have more important things than those. In order to protect them, I will never lose to you. Others were also infected by Asuma's words, and their fighting spirit increased greatly. Sasuke stood aside and didn't speak. Instead, he frowned and stared at Itachi, not at all like when the enemy was in front of him. Asuma thought that Sasuke was stunned when he saw the enemy, and said, Sasuke, I know it's hard for you to see Itachi, but now we need to work together, understand? Don't worry, Asuma, I'm fine, I just want to confirm some things. Sasuke responded indifferently, and then pulled out the ninja sword from his waist. Lei-dun chakra kept flashing on the sword. Asuma took a sharp puff of cigarette, and then rushed straight over. Sasuke comes with me, and the others are harassing us with ninjutsu and covering us. Feiyin's blade generates 2 high-power blue glowing chakra double knives, which not only increases the range but also the power. Chakra knife Shinichi text. Itachi ducked to the side, and the sharp slash immediately split the tree in half, and then Asuma's attack fell on Itachi like a hurricane. But Itachi's body is like flowing water, and it doesn't matter how you cut it. Asuma was startled. Itachi actually mastered such a delicate body technique. Completely dodged my attack. When Asuma was distracted and the knife fell in the air, Itachi grabbed Asuma's arm, pulled hard, and dragged Asuma in front of him. The two looked at each other. Not good. I'm going to be hit by an illusion. Asuma hurriedly closed her eyes, and then a sharp pain came from her stomach and chest, and she was kicked out. Seeing that the teacher was in danger, Dinky jumped up immediately, and his arms quickly became huge. Partial doubling technique. Just when Asma was about to hit the stone, Dingji caught Asma with his palm and slowed the impact, but both were taken away. Puff! A mouthful of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth, and Asma felt as if his chest had been hit by a ton of hammer, and the bones all over his body were aching. But he also had doubts in his heart. It's strange, when did Itachi's power become so terrifying, and I didn't even get an illusion when we looked at him. Sasuke has also fought against Itachi, and this is a duel between brothers. The ninja sword attached to the thunderbolt chakra waving in the rain is not very beautiful, but before a few moves, the weapon was caught by Itachi. Sasuke resolutely gave up the ninja sword, jumped back and bulged his mouth high, and then spit out a straight line of high-temperature flames. Fire escape dragon fire technique. But the rain in the sky obviously weakened the effect of this blow a lot, and the raindrops fell on the flames, causing bursts of black smoke. It's really stupid to use the fire escape on a rainy day. Itachi snorted coldly, punching out a shock wave, directly dissipating the flames in front of him. As a result, the next moment, countless shurikens of different sizes flew out of the black smoke, thrown by other Konoha ninjas. I'm covering for my companions. But you forgot, do I also have a wheel eye? Itachi took out a few kunai and threw them around, slightly changing the attack trajectory of the shuriken, causing them to affect each other and all flew towards Itachi's back. The art of shuriken. Fire escape how fireball technique. Several of them pulled out the steel wire and repositioned the shifted shuriken. Sasuke ignited all the steel wire with a single blow. When Itachi was about to jump away, he suddenly found that his body could not move, and Shikamaru, who was not far away, knelt on one knee on the ground, holding the shadow imitation technique mark in his hand. The weather on the rainy day was not very good, and the clouds were dense, making it impossible to distinguish the location of the shadow imitation technique. At this time, Asma had also recovered. He instantly walked to Itachi and praised, "You did a good job, then leave it to me." Wind escape, Quilin Gale. The flying swallow in his hand threw out and locked the position of Itachi. This wave of cooperation can be said to be without the slightest fuss. But he couldn't see any panic in Itachi's eyes. He sighed softly and whispered, "It seems that physical techniques alone will be a little troublesome, so let's end it as soon as possible." After speaking, he stretched out his right hand, and the shadow imitation technique seemed to him not to exist. All the shuriken, flames, and Asma's swallows were all still for a moment. Then a huge repulsive force spread from around Itachi, and all the ninjutsu attacks, including Asma, were all ejected, without exception. Boom, boom. What? Many ninjas were accidentally injured by scattered shuriken and flames, and the scene suddenly became a mess. Sasuke also hung up his color. He reluctantly pulled out the shuriken on his arm, stared at the man with his face covered, and said solemnly, "I guessed it right, you are not Itachi." As soon as these words came out, everyone once again focused their attention on Itachi. Not a ferret. Who is he? Author's digression. I'm sorry, dear readers. I went to school today to get my diploma. I can only use my mobile phone to code words. After coding 2 chapters, I ran out of electricity, so I can only go home and write the 3rd chapter. This is the reason why the update is so late today, doghead. Chapter 119 _ I'm here to help you get stronger. Sasuke, can you be sure? Shikamaru's face changed suddenly. Inaccurate information often brought death to the ninja. Now it is obviously a mistake of intelligence, and the other party dressed like this, deliberately spreading the news that he is Itachi, to lure others to come. This is a naked conspiracy. Sasuke stretched out his finger to Itachi's kaleidoscope, and said slowly, "The black lines in his eyes are not the same as Itachi, and I have seen it before." What? You said he was the 6th Hokage-sama. Dingchi's eyes widened, his face full of disbelief. Shikamaru shuddered violently with his backhand, and said with a hatred of iron not being steel, "Aren't you stupid? How could it be the 6th generation of Hokage, and the writing wheel I means that he is a member of the Uchiha family? Impossible, I'm the only one left in Uchiha. He must have stole it from somewhere, and maybe it has something to do with Kakashi-sensei's." Sasuke immediately refuted Shikamaru's words. He was very sure that after that night, all Uchihas had been killed by Itachi. Asuma struggled to get up from the muddy ground. Just now, he was in the center of the repulsion force and suffered the most damage. "Teacher Asuma, be careful," Ino distressed and supported Asuma, who was covered in injuries. The latter shook his head, indicating that he was fine. The other party was not Itachi, and Asuma had vaguely guessed it, so after Sasuke said it, he was not surprised. Have Uchiha's eyes and such good physical skills, but never use illusions from beginning to end. There should be no such people in Akatsuki's organization. Asuma thought calmly in her heart. She had already mastered a lot of information about Sen and Akatsuki through the 5 countries of Tsunade and Hideyoshi. Especially, Shao, is more detailed. Xian, information is relatively small, and under Feng Yao's advice, many, Xian, organization information is fake. Asuma was basically convinced that the other party must be a fairy person, but he knew that there was no one who could fit in the information. Cough, if you guessed correctly, you are a new member of the Xian organization, and since there is a Sharingan, you should be related to our Konoha. Why do you want to help the tyrant? In the face of Asuma's stern question, the man opposite couldn't help laughing. He played with the taste. "Asuma, why do you have to have a relationship with Konoha if you have Sharingan? And I'm not a new member." As he said that, the man took off the Huion suit and wore the golden python suit inside, revealing his enchanting face, and the pupils in his eyes changed from kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes to faint blue pupils. As long as it is a person, once you have seen it, you will never forget this face. And his face has already been posted on the top of the current reward list, worth 500 million. The head of the Immortal organization, Feng Yao. All the people took a few steps back in horror. The name of Feng Yao was too scary, and it had enough power to destroy a country. The other rebellions of the 5 major countries are resolved by themselves, but they have the same attitude towards Feng Yao. They will be surrounded and killed with all their strength, and they will never let go. But this time, since Itachi was the only one, Kakashi only sent 5 teams and Jiraiya. Damn it, what's he? Is this some kind of camouflage? It can turn into a wheel eye, and why did he lead us here? Asuma screamed inwardly, and the thoughts in her mind were like electricity, trying to think about countermeasures. His eyes were unsteady, and cold sweat was constantly pouring out of his forehead. It's over this time. What can be done? What can be done? Asuma roared in his heart. When Asuma was anxious, Sasuke also recalled a lot of things in his mind. He thought of his brother and his own moments in Konoha. My stupid brother, hate me. Sasuke, you will be Hokage's guard from today onwards. Please do your best, everyone in the village trusts you very much. This is a bento made by me, can you give me a taste? Sasuke, I love you. Humph, what a bunch of nasty guys. Sasuke's face showed a gentle smile. Facing such an enemy, it is impossible to defeat or escape. Sasuke made up his mind. He stepped forward and blocked Asuma and the other Konoha ninjas with his not tall body. Voice seemed very calm. You are here for me, Feng Yao, your attention is on me from start to finish. Let them go, I'll stay here alone. As Hokage's guardian, as a descendant of the Uchiha family. At this moment, Sasuke also inherited the will of fire of the original Hokage. Everyone seemed to see a flame burning in front of them, and Asuma's eyes became wet unconsciously. Sasuke let go of his hatred, and at this moment, he would rather sacrifice for his comrades. Only Asuma can know what kind of determination Sasuke needs to make this choice. Kakashi, I was wrong, this kid is much better than I thought. Asuma's heart is not shaken, he is determined to protect the tender shoots of these leaves. No, Sasuke, let's go back together. Yeah, Sasuke-sama, why did we leave you behind? Everyone was encouraged by Sasuke, and you all stood by Sasuke's side, even if the enemy was Feng Yao's level. Sasuke widened his eyes. You. Okay, don't continue talking. Feng Yao interrupted the other party impatiently. Turning his head to Sasuke, he said frankly, I didn't come to kill you, otherwise you would have died 10,000 times earlier. On the contrary, I'm here to help you become stronger. I know you hate Itachi, but you didn't open the kaleidoscope. You can't kill Itachi. After he finished speaking, he took out a small syringe, and a pale green liquid could be clearly seen flowing inside. This is the potion that Orochimaru has developed that can open the kaleidoscope of the Uchiha family in advance. He can simulate and stimulate the brains of the Uchihas, tricking the brain into releasing special chakras to evolve the eyes. For this reason, Orochimaru does not know how many times Uchiha's clansmen have been resurrected. After getting news from Tsunade, Sasuke has been following Kakashi, and has never had a chance to come out. Feng Yao thought of killing two birds with one stone. If you go to the country of fire to arrest people, then Itachi will never go, so Feng Yao pretends to be Itachi to attract Sasuke. In this way, as long as Itachi receives news and hears that someone is pretending to be himself, for the safety of his younger brother, he will definitely come. Facing Feng Yao's temptation, Sasuke snorted coldly. He was not a 3-year-old child, he knew that Feng Yao must have a purpose for doing this. I don't need to become stronger, I can kill Itachi with my own strength, and I also have the help of my companions, so I don't need you to worry about it. Facing Sasuke's ruthless rejection, Feng Yao's face turned gloomy. He sneered, after staying in Konoha for a few days, I don't know what my surname is. Do you think it's up to you? No one can stop what I'm going to do. Chapter 120-Metamorphosis or Death. Yellow Spring Hirazaka. A black door of space appeared in front of Feng Yao's eyes, and he directly stretched out the hand holding the potion. This move can not only be used to move, but also to shorten the distance of ninjutsu attacks with others or to distract the enemy. Immediately afterwards, the gate of space appeared silently behind Sasuke, and Feng Yao's hand holding the potion plunged into the back of Sasuke's neck like lightning, and the injection was completed in a blink of an eye. Everyone had no time to react, and when they turned their heads, Feng Yao had already retracted his arms, and the door of space disappeared again. What? Sasuke, who can always be described as a facial paralysis, now looks extremely distorted, like a hungry ghost that climbed up from hell. Although the simulation stimulates the brain, the pain is also doubled, which is the price of gaining strength. Sasuke clasped his head with both hands and slammed into the stone. Compared with the pain in his mind, the pain in his body was hardly worth mentioning. Boom! Asthma directly blocked Sasuke with his body. If he really hit a stone at the speed just now, he might have lost his life. Sasuke, who was blocked, suffered even more, and kept hitting his head with his hands. Ah, get out of my mind, asshole. The people next to him were terrified by Sasuke. Ino rushed up to stop Sasuke, but was punched open by the opponent. Sasuke, what's the matter with you? Ino shed tears, watching the person he likes suffer, but there is nothing he can do. The effect of this potion is stronger than I thought, but don't let it die, or you will waste your good eyes. Feng Yao looked at this scene indifferently. The medicine is not without failure rate. There is about a 70% possibility that it will cause brain death because it can't bear it. Transformation or death depends on Sasuke's will. This is, a white figure flashed behind Feng Yao and roared, Feng Yao, you are too cruel to do the truth. After he finished speaking, he whipped his leg with a sharp piercing sound. Feng Yao raised his right hand to block the opponent's attack, but the two immortals on Jiraiya's body tightly bound Feng Yao with their tongues. Boom! The power in the immortal mode has increased several times, and this kick also kicked Feng Yao dozens of meters away. Feng Yao stepped into the ground and forcibly stopped. He just vaguely felt that someone was following behind the Konoha crowd. Although Feng Yao can't know who it is by perception, but now Konoha Tsunade is his own, Kakashi is the Hokage, and the only one who can follow is Jiraiya. HMPH, Jiraiya, now you finally learn to enter the fairy mode before the battle. Feng Yao was not panicked. Even if Jiraiya entered the immortal mode, he was not his opponent, but he had to be careful of the two immortals. The two toads had even higher fighting experience than Jiraiya. Jiraiya ignored Feng Yao and jumped to Sasuke's side for the first time. Sasuke is now delirious, and he is about to attack when he sees someone coming, but Jiraiya shook his hands, pressed Sasuke's collarbone, and easily subdued him. Then he took out a spell with a seal on it and stuck it on Sasuke's head. Sasuke's painful voice was relieved, and Zilai also frowned. He didn't know what method Feng Yao had just used, but he could only temporarily relieve Sasuke's pain. After Jiraiya discovered Feng Yao, he was preparing for the immortal mode as soon as possible, because only in this way would he have a chance to win. It impossible to save Sasuke when Feng Yao used Yunchang Hirazaka. Lord Jiraiya, ahem, so you're here, so I said, even if we were to besiege Itachi, it would be a bit less to bring only 5 teams, ahem. Asma was relieved to see Jiraiya. At least there is a chance. Don't talk for now, take them away quickly, I'm here to stop Feng Yao. Jiraiya's tone was dignified, and he waved his hand to let the rest of the people retreat immediately. Others will only affect his performance here. Okay, Lord Jiraiya, be careful. After speaking, Asma braced her body and prepared to retreat with the help of Shikamaru. But how could Feng Yao do what they wanted? A black stick slowly appeared in the palm of his right hand. Feng Yao broke it off and held it in his hand, revealing an unquestionable smell in his tone. Before watching Sasuke open the kaleidoscope, he can't leave my sight. The rest of you want to go, I won't stop him. Feng Yao had no interest at all in the life and death of others, not even Jiraiya. It made no difference to kill one more and one less. Let's go. Zilai also shouted, and then made a seal with his hands, ready to start dealing with Feng Yao. Shantha thousands of hair needles. Jiraiya turns his hair into needles and shoots it out. This is the fastest and most wide-ranging ninjutsu among Jiraiya's ninjutsu. Every sharp thorn can easily pierce through the trees, and the rain of needles all over the sky shoots in front of Feng Yao in a blink of an eye. This attack cannot be stopped by the black stick in his hand. Susanoo. The blue chakra turned into a burly two-faced god of war, and Feng Yao directly opened Shuzuo to the second form. Clang, clang, clang. All the needles in the sky were blocked by Susa, and Jiraiya took the opportunity to rush forward, jumping high, and a huge chakra ball appeared in his right hand. Shantha Super Jade Spiral Pill. This ninjutsu is more than 10 times larger than the Daiyu Spiral Pill, and its power is huge enough to destroy a giant rocky mountain. He dunked directly on Susanoo's head. As soon as Susanoo came into contact with the super large Jade Spiral Pill, there was a sign of fragmentation. Of course Feng Yao couldn't allow this to happen, his left eye flickered slightly. Magic. A huge space vortex appeared in the center of the super large Jade Spiral Pill, absorbing the entire Spiral Pill. It's this trick again. It can also be used to transfer ninjutsu, so Fei Lei Shen really doesn't need it. Jiraiya can only retreat temporarily. The last time he played against Feng Yao was when Tsunade was taken away for the first time. At that time, all Feng Yao performed was time-space ninjutsu, but now it has suddenly changed, and even a long time ago, Feng Yao could use the immortal mode. People who have been fighting with Feng Yao, as long as they are a little smarter, can find something a little wrong. Obito too, and now Jiraiya agrees too, but they don't know what the problem is. Little Jiraiya, his time-space ninjutsu has a limited range, and the ninjutsu that can bounce off other people only lasts for a short period of time. Why don't we use that trick together? Immortal Zima, who was standing beside him, suggested. Zilai also nodded slightly. Okay, then listen to the two immortals, let's prepare together. Then the throats of one person and two toads bulged at the same time, spitting out oil, fire, and wind respectively. Senfa Gomon, _. The wind boosted the fire and burned the oil to thousands of degrees. This kind of ninjutsu with various attributes is generally difficult for ordinary ninjas to resist. If you have to rely on Shenwei to absorb it, the range is too large and inconvenient, and using Shenluo Tianzhong can only bounce off the first wave of kerosene. Immortal Shima turned his head to Immortal Fukasaku on the other shoulder and said, while he is wrapping himself in Susano, "Old man, you use your best wind to cut it open, and I will use my tongue to pull him out." Understood.